All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are... Oh, no, I don't think the little... Discord thing is working this time. Oh, well, I'm happy it worked previously. We won't need it mostly for today. All right. Welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons, Hoard of the Dragon Queen. This is the Epilogue season, or session of this module. We wrapped that up last week, or last couple of weeks ago. And, yeah, that's, basically this is going to be a pretty low-key session, a little out-of-character stuff. We got a new guy joining us, Stark. And so we'll have some character integration, and basically just be talking about what happened in the olden days of Hoard of the Dragon Queen and how the Defiant Dawn came to throw a big monkey wrench in their efforts. There is... One second, setting one more thing up. I'm a little bit behind schedule here. There we go. Got that. Can I see chat here? Test. Yeah, okay. All right. So, let's see here. There's the Watch Together link if anybody wants to join.
Yeah. It's just going to be Witcher 3 ambient music for now.
Nice.
So, we have several things to discuss today. I was thinking that we would do a module recap where we'd kind of go through all the different things that we did as the adventuring party and kind of what happened in the aftermath and things like that. Then we have a couple of people that are rolling up new characters. Allie's rolling a new character. Stark is joining us, and Doug was potentially rolling up a new character. I don't know if he finally made a decision on that. Then we have some loose ends to wrap up with the module, and basically an open plan for what we're going to do next time, like how much downtime we're going to spend before we officially start the new module, what kind of between stuff we want to tackle. And I know you guys have already written some stuff in there, but that was the order that I kind of wanted to tackle things in. But a lot of this might be me talking, but you guys feel free to jump in with other anecdotes and things that you remember about what happened. Is everybody happy with that order, or do you want to try something different?
That sounds lovely.
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right. Well, let's see. We started our adventure on the way to Greenest. Where is Greenest? Everything's out of order now since I kept moving stuff up. Where'd it go? I just saw it. There she is. Blam. You became the heroes of the Blushing Sow Tavern after saving Cliff and delivering him safely to the town. His wife Opal kept the food and drink coming while Barum Swiftblade the Magnificent sang about your meager deeds. But that night, the Cult of the Dragon attacked. Dun, dun, dun. So you guys were here when the Cult of the Dragon showed up. You prevented some houses from burning. You got struck by the lightning breath attack of Lenathan, a blue dragon that was flying overhead. Kyla still flagged him down, and you made a deal with him to get his egg back. Apparently the cult was pressuring him to do some attacks and things by keeping his egg as ransom and would pay him back later. You watched Langdodrosa Cyanrath murder Cliff. He was a blue half-dragon. He murdered Cliff, the little tavern owner that you had saved, and he took Opal and several tavern goers prisoner. You didn't see Barum in those. You rescued several people and got them safely to the castle. There you accused Governor Tarball Nighthill and or his men of stealing Linathan's egg. They did not. There was a miscommunication or a misunderstanding. The cult had his egg, but Karen was convinced it was these pesky nobles.
It's always the nobles.
It's always the nobles. And she cast Charm Person on the governor, which turned him around, but still he didn't steal the egg, and so... but he started listening to you guys a little more. And later when you left the safety of the castle to break the siege of the Temple of the Fertile Field. That was down there in the southeast. Shoop. And there you... I think Cobus turned into a frog for the very first time and ate a cultist, and that became his signature move. So you rescued those people, snuck them out the back door, and got them back into the castle. And later that night, when the raid was over, Langdodrosa threatened to slaughter several townsfolk if you didn't send out a champion to fight him in a duel. And Ignatius Uri answered that call and fought valiantly, but was no match for Cyanrath. Yeah, that was a...
Absolutely thrashed.
I got one good lick in.
Yep.
Gave him all I had. Wasn't enough.
Yeah. This was... this part of the module I felt was a little weak. Like, they didn't give you, like, a real reason to hate you. To hate him. Like, they wanted to set him up as like a villain that you would defeat later. So I'd added a couple of things. I'd like let you guys save Cliff and then later murder him with with Cyanrath. Also, I talked to Doug about this ahead of time because I thought he'd be the one that would volunteer. And just told him it was an unwinnable fight. And he was a good sport about it. But
I've played RPGs before.
Yeah. But the people recognize Uri's bravery for going out to fight the 7-foot-tall beast of a half-dragon man. And the cult left with dozens of prisoners and much of the town's wealth.
Well,
Yeah, and it took us a couple of sessions to get through Chapter 1. So... I think Karen just mostly avoided the governor for a little while after that, after the spell wore off. But you guys were heralded, like, cheered on as heroes for doing all that you did for this small town. Chapters 2 and 3 sent us to the cult army camp. Oh, was there anything else that stood out about Greenest or anything like that?
I think you hit everything pretty well.
Yeah, my notes were pretty detailed for the early parts of this, and then as time started running out, kind of towards the end, my notes are going to get a little bit lighter. So,
well, I think that's similar to what I have here too. So it sounds like we're on the same page.
All right, cool. All right, let's see. So the cult army camp. Well, where did that take us? That took us over to... Looking for the map. Where'd it go? There's the raider camp. Just didn't quite look quite like I remembered. There's Linathan.
I forgot Uri lost his good side frill during that fight.
Oh yeah, that should have been in there.
Is it noticeable?
Yeah, Langdodrosa gave him a little battle scar, cut off part of his frill, and left him there for the heroes to retrieve him. All right.
I I have a note here that says, Yuri to Ugg, still better looking than you. Kyla from the other room. Woo!
Kyla was saucy that day.
He drools while meditating.
I do not. Hey, Jackie, welcome to the stream.
Jackie!
Jackie. And probably Alex by proxy.
Alex!
And Papa Nacho. Very nice, very nice.
Oh my
And Eric.
gosh.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Kaylee, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Can you say something?
Oh, Kaylee.
Oh, no.
I'm going to be right back. Make sure everything's okay. Hold that thought.
Holding.
It was fun watching on the stream because he just disappeared from his little green screen box.
Used Misty Step.
I knew he was a warlock.
Well, he's more like a wizard. Ek is a wizard.
He's a wizard.
Ek is a hard worker. He studies, he plans, he prepares. He's got a lot of options.
What would I be?
A warlock.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I would probably also be a warlock.
I'm a warlock that didn't take Eldritch Blast. Absolutely useless.
Well, means you got a fun bag of tricks.
Yeah, it's true.
I love there was no hesitation in that answer.
Yeah. Well, it's been talked about enough before that. Yeah. I feel like I'd be a sorcerer because I would not want to put in the wizard amount of work.
That's
Just be
true.
like, look at these powers I just happen to have. Isn't that cool?
Listen, at some point,
Can
one
you
of my
guys hear us?
ancestors...
I can hear you, Ek.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Good.
Is Kaylee there?
Kaylee, that is an excellent impression of your dad. Fooled me.
Was that part of the disguise self? That was really good.
All right, fix those technical difficulties.
Well, now I don't know if this is Kaylee or Ek.
Well, I'm upstairs now, so. So last thing I think we said was Ugg said he was better looking than, or Yuri said he was better looking than Ugg, and then from the next room kind of went, ooh, bird.
Yeah. That's great.
All right.
We still can't hear Kaylee if she is talking.
No.
Ah, there you are.
Hey.
Hello.
Woo. All right. So, Escobar the Red tasked you to track down the army, infiltrate them, and see what you could learn. Barum, inspired by your heroics, asked to tag along. He offered to loan Yuri his hat of disguise so the Dragonborn could blend in, because Yuri was kind of a big deal to come out and confront Cyanrath, so he would have stood out.
Totally part of the cult, by the way.
Definitely.
Totally perfect.
Yeah.
Along with Haynes.
Oh, yeah. We'll
And
get
Nick-
to
Yeah,
him.
we'll get to Haynes.
Listen. My mortal enemy Haynes he's gonna rue the day he was rude to me one time.
This could be a self-fulfilling prophecy where you push him so far that he joins the cult out of spite for you.
I do want to send, you know how like there what is it in Alice in Wonderland? It's like on birthdays, he's uninvited to the wedding, you know? I'm just sending you this missive to let you know how well everything's going for me, and you can just not come to this wonderful wedding we're planning. Thank you.
All
How
right.
petty.
I would still like a gift.
All right. Okay. So at the army camp, one of the things that happened was Kyla bought 3 pseudo-dragons from a shifty-looking kobold. That was this guy right here, if I remember right.
3 gold discount, too.
Yeah. So you got Shadow, the black pseudo-dragon, Scorch, the red pseudo-dragon, and Storm, the blue pseudo-dragon. Storm was a female. The other 2 were male. Let's see. Resmir gave a rousing speech. I'll go ahead and share that to Stark if he wanted to read that. I'll leave that
Appreciate it. Thank you.
up for chat if they want to. What else? Laos and Erlenthar. He was supposed to be your contact in. He was supposed to be your contact in Greenest, but when you got there, everything went to crap, and you didn't get. You didn't get to see him, and that's because he got captured by the cult. Let's see here. You wandered around learning what you could about the camp leadership and came up with a plan to free the prisoners after nightfall. Let's see, who all was there? I think there was Langdedrosa. Boop. There was Rezmir. Boop. And there was Frula Mundoth.
Oh, I had to say it one more time.
Those are some great art assets. Those are some cool pictures.
Yep. This was all part of the module that I bought on Roll20. It's made it super easy to run it. So yeah, those were the main leadership. Let's see. I think you also saw Rathmodar or maybe Osbarajas. I don't remember. But so after the big speech, you executed your plan to free the prisoners. Once the cult passed out from drinking, you started a distraction. Invisible, Yuri freed Laosin and stole the gong so nobody could sound the alarm. Yep. Walking around making it look like a flying saucer since you were holding it over your head. Then you used the siege ladders that the prisoners were constructing to climb out the backside of the quarry and get everyone to safety. So the cult roused everyone and broke camp. Rezmir thought there were adventurers that did it. Langdedrosa thought maybe Laosin just freed himself and got everybody out. But they broke camp and accelerated their plans to get the heck out of there. Let's see. And by mid-morning, only a few tents remained. You moved into the caves, which you learned was a dragon hatchery. The kobolds there thought you were cultists and so led you deeper. That's when you encountered Frula Mundoth, who was going through the process of turning into a black dragon. Let's head over to the dragon hatchery. I should have sorted these before.
Do I recall that they perhaps died like a chump?
Indeed you do. Here are some highlights of the Dragon Hatchery. This was supposed to be an epic fight, but Yuri crit on his very first roll, and then he's like, you know what? I'll go ahead and spend all my Divine Smite right here up front. And I think it was enough damage to kill her in one shot.
Oh, Kobus made Yuri big.
That's right.
That was great.
That was the tipping point.
That was another Kobus signature move, enlarging Yuri and just throwing him into combat.
Kobus special.
Kobus has the most signature moves.
It's true.
Go get him, big man.
I think my only signature move is to try and usually fail to cast Hold Person, except that one time when it worked on the very powerful mage, and it was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
That was a great moment, yeah.
That was great, yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk more about him when we get there, but yeah, he was a level 13 or 14 wizard, I think. And was like the head wizard that was researching the ritual to bring back Tiamat. And he's dead now. So
also, I think a lot of Kyla's signature move is putting herself in perilous situations for good rewards.
That's right. That's right.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
And painting dragons.
Yeah.
Is Karen's signature move being too prickly to be accommodating?
I think hers is Charm Person.
Yeah.
I've got charm person.
Hi, best friend. How you doing?
She really rides that high of however long it lasts.
Yeah.
Like a minute, or is it 10 minutes or an hour?
It's an hour.
Yeah.
Hour.
So
Best
deep.
hour of my life.
Yeah, Jackie.
Sorry.
If it ain't broke.
So it's supposed to be a one shot, and then I think Ugg got hurt pretty bad here. So deeper, yeah, deeper in, you found a blue dragon egg and 3 black dragon eggs. That was kind of a surprise for you. In Frulam's chambers, you found some notes explaining the recent plans, some bad dragon poetry, and a line in a ledger that said something about the loot going to Nereatar. And Kyla latched onto that and said it was super important. But
It was.
it was.
Also, oh, to be a dragon.
Oh, to be a dragon.
Let's see. Oh, where's my stupid...
I want to send another thank you out to Lori for all of her contributions on that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, my
yeah.
god.
Yes.
Also, we just recently finished up the bags of cookies.
Mm.
My goodness.
I especially like the dabbing unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was excellent.
Lori's pretty cool.
Worrisome.
Where did I asked Lori to get me the poetry. She got me the poetry, and now I can't...
I think someone, I want to say it was Doug, read the poetry in like this very epic voice of a heroic storytelling.
Does sound like something Doug would like to do.
That sounds like something that I would do, yeah.
I think I remember it anyway. So it was like, ode to be a dragon, to fly on wings of flame, but I am just a human. That really is a shame. That was one of the poems.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Top 10.
Absolutely.
All right, where are we at here? Where are we at? Let's see. Thinking you had dealt with all the difficult bits of the dungeon, you didn't bother planning and just kicked open the last door and saw like this big bunch of guards that were there set to guard the hatchery. And it almost wound up to be a TPK. That was down here in rooms 12 and 11.
Oh, that's right.
That's when Nikolai escaped.
It wasn't Nikolai.
Was you.
There was a wizard that escaped. Karen tried to chase him down, but she was real hurt too, and he turned around. This guy right here, and sent some magic missiles her way that she couldn't deal with, and it took her out. Instead of finishing her off, he just sent his raven off to steal some of the a pearl necklace that she had recently acquired.
Super rude.
And put on. Really hits Karen where she hurts.
The pocket.
My wallet.
On the way back to Greeness, Kyla delivered the blue egg to Lenathan and got permission to draw him
Oh, yes.
for her book. Karen wound up giving some of her jewels to Opal. And Kobus lobbied for giving the Black Dragon eggs to the Emerald Enclave. And several of you joined one of the major factions of the Sword Coast. I think Yuri joined the Lord's Alliance, Kyla joined the Harpers, and Kobus joined the Emerald Enclave. Where are they now? Oops, where'd it go? Greeness cleared out the destroyed buildings and began the rebuilding process. Over the next year, 2 newborns were named Yuri, and another was named Ignatius, in honor of Yuri's sacrifice.
Oh my.
Nice.
Opal's
Yuri
new...
blushes.
Sorry, go ahead, Doug.
I just said Yuri blushes.
Opal's new tavern was initially named the Generous Halfling, but the image of a halfling with an open coin purse had patrons calling it the Halfling Thief.
No.
So she later changed the name to the One-Eyed Halfling, and the image on the sign is now of a red-haired halfling with an eye patch.
Oh, that's nice.
Only 2 of the 3 black eggs survived to hatch under the stewardship of the Emerald Enclave. The male that hatched eventually flew off, thinking the rules of these druids were too restrictive. The female stayed behind, headstrong, but still able to get along with the druids. She is learning druidic magic.
Oh, that is so cool.
Governor Tarball Nighthill fell out of favor with the people. Escobar the Red was simply doing more for the reconstruction efforts, and because of that, he got elected governor.
Noise.
Barham Swiftblade the Magnificent had plenty of material from his short time adventuring with you. He traveled up and down the Sword Coast, trying to stay away from the cult and its influence. As he did, he heard more of the Defiant Dawn's exploits and helped spread the word further. And Kyla wants to visit Lenathan, so we'll save what happened to him and his child for next time. That was one of the things Kyla said she wanted to do in the between times.
Sounds good.
So that took us all the way through session 5, and then we went to Burdusk, and this was completely off script. Let's see here. At this point, the module wanted you to follow the treasure and find out where it was going, but the massive army that was building up just kind of vanished, and they didn't mention it anywhere in the module. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. So I wanted you guys to deal with that a little bit, and I thought it'd be fun.
Imagine it was a key plot point of Rise of Tiamat.
I hope not. if so, you guys already tackled it. No big deal.
Maybe there's another army in a different part of the country that we didn't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Totally not the Dragon Cult army. Oh, well. So Escobar the Red sent you to Burdusk to warn Lady Celeria of the army that was marching on their town. He gave you horses and paid you a tidy sum for your effort so far. And I think everybody named their horses and posted pictures of their horses. And I was going to get pictures, but forgot about it. So
I forgot I had a horse.
yeah.
You named it Socks. It's
Socks.
a robust gray.
That checks out.
Fun fact, I named my horse Purity after a Pegasus NPC in one of my games.
Ooh,
Because my
neato.
horse was white.
Noise.
Because what?
Because my horse was like white in color.
Nice.
Cobus's was a reddish brown and loves to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't Yuri's like massive?
It had to be.
I have written down black and white domino, big draft horse, rambunctious.
Let's see. So on your way up there, you made it to Windcrest. It was a tiny village that had been obliterated by a young green dragon. There were no survivors. There you met Azaria Leafwalker, who said she was tracking the dragon and trying to find out more information about it. And she said this isn't normally druids are live and let live kind of thing, but this was a dragon that needed to die. It was disrupting the balance. You didn't spend much time in there, but I think this is where Cobus found this staff, this very, very minor magic item staff that could just cause flowers to sprout, basically. And Cobus used that throughout his career to just spread a little druid flowers along different towns and things like that.
A little love.
Yeah. And then it was to Burdusk. So I've been watching some of the past episodes and stuff just to remember some exact details. And you came here and told the guards, yes, we're here to talk to the queen. Let's go. Take us to her immediately. We have important information. They're like, yeah, right. Tell us why you're really here. And then Karen said something to the effect like, do you want cultists to stab you in the night? Because that's what's going to happen if you don't take us there. And it's like, are you threatening me?
Listen, sometimes Karen always wants the best for people, and sometimes they just rail against it, and it's inconvenient for everybody.
It really is. And Yuri was about to pull out his signet when Karen said, "Charm person!"
And failed.
And
Yeah.
failed. The guy made a save, and then it was about to be combat, and Doug calmed everybody down. Kyla calmed him down with words. Yuri calmed him down with his signet of the Lord's Alliance that basically gave them a free pass. And then they were escorted to the palace under guard instead of as like 100% allies. They weren't really 100% convinced, but they wanted to take you there anyways.
We're not taking you because you asked. We're doing it because it's our job now.
Yep.
It still gets us there.
Yep. So here you met several members of the upper crust and planned the defense of the city. First you met Steward Haynes, and Karen and he did not get along. Mainly because Karen said, "Sometimes my magic just goes off and I can't control it." And he said, "Well, fine. If you can't control your magic, you can wait out here." And he kind of...
Karen thought that was very rude.
Yeah. But Karen begrudgingly admitted she could control her magic, and she was allowed within the keep. I think she had to give up her staff or her orb or something.
Yeah.
Listen, he's seen The Lord of the Rings. He knows what happens with Grima Wormtongue.
Daggum right.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Karen, she knows.
Oh, right, Haynes, Kyla's very best friend.
You're just doing that because Nikolai's her best friend.
Exactly.
I was so much more incensed when I looked at the NPC sheet and saw how hot Haynes was. I was like, how dare he?
Wait,
The
what?
description I have written for Haynes is older, balding, steward for the lady, wire-rimmed glasses, walks with a limp.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. And then I looked at the sheet and he's like this cute domino-haired like glasses man. And I'm like, no!
I don't trust him.
Wait, what?
I'll see if I can find a picture of him here in a little bit when there's some downtime.
Oh my.
Unless I got my wires crossed. I'm
No,
angry
I
about
think
something.
you're talking about the same guy. He wasn't ugly in his picture. It's tough to find like an ugly D&D portrait unless it's like that's the goal of it.
Yeah, unless that's specifically a character trait, it assumes that everyone is attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I draw him, you know.
Haynes is totally Tiamat in disguise. Come on, let's be honest.
So, Lady Celeria, she was the leader of Burdust. She was also, I think she's either a high-ranking member of the Harpers or a leader of the Harpers, and her town is a member of the Lord's Alliance. You met Nikolai Komarov, a dragon scholar, necromancer, and a rival to Kyla.
Such a nice guy.
My best friend.
He doesn't know he's a rival to Kyla, but that probably makes it worse. There was Velen. There was Velen Gibson, who was a boisterous noble who Karen got along with smashingly. And Janice Hawthorne, a noble with some financial difficulties, and later you found out she was allied with the cult. And Jade Talon, she was the green dragon that was terrorizing the surrounding countryside. Yeah, so unfortunately, most able-bodied adventurers had left town pursuing the bounty placed on Jade Talon, so any heroics would have to fall to the Defiant Dawn. Kyla brought up the fact that green dragons could breathe underwater, and also pointed out this massive little inlet river that cut the town in half, and said she was sure the green dragon was going to swim up there and attack the town from the inside. That wasn't true, but after she said that, it 100% became true because it was such a cool idea. Oh yeah,
Really cool idea.
yeah. There was like a moat around here, and I was gonna have the dragon pop up after like the dragon or after the armies were attacking. I'm like, that'd be cool, but then you came up with that idea, so I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally what was going on.
Very cinematic. You shape the world, Kyla.
Yeah,
The world
no.
reacts to you.
very nice.
Let's see. So you guys, the fight with the Green Dragon was a great boss fight. We fought on a bridge. Where was it? We fought on this bridge. You had set up this big crane to have like a chain net down at the bottom. and blocked off this passageway to force the dragon this way. And when Cobus was down here, maybe in frog form, I can't remember. And as soon as the dragon swam up there, that's when Yuri pushed off this huge weight and snatched the dragon up out of the water where you guys wailed on it. I think Kyla hit it with a fireball scroll that she got from Nikolai. Karen cast Fairy Fire, which gave everyone advantage, which made a lot of misses turn into hits. Cobus enlarged Yuri, who jumped to the crane and grappled Jade Talon to keep her in place. And Ugg fired this massive ballista into it. The dragon almost escaped, but Yuri knocked it prone with like Thunder Wave, or I can't remember what. And it had 9 hit points at the very end of the fight, I think. And when I rolled the damage for fall damage, I was like, it's like 2d10 fall damage, but it was going to be halved. But I rolled like 20 damage, and so it passed out when it hit the water. So.
Yeah, I had the Cobus had also enlarged Yuri again there.
Yep.
And then because of the Fairy Fire, he crit and had a bunch of smite, and the Thunderous Smite has the knockback effect, which knocked the dragon away from the crane and down under the water, and the fall damage to it.
So cool.
Yeah, that was a really good. That was a really good fight.
Mm-hmm.
Did I have that?
Very cinematic, and the fact that you leaned into Kyla's idea was awesome. So,
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite aspects of your DM style. Is you always fully lean into what the players think is cool.
I try to. All right, and then after that dragon fight, you're like, all right, now we can scare off the army. But then Karen spotted up north on the other bridge. Langdodrosa Cyanrath on the back of this huge white horse. And so he had kind of a head start, because if you look at this town map here, let me pull this players here. So you guys were over here on this side of the bridge, and he was up here on this side of the bridge. I don't think you guys ever found out what was going on. Basically, Jade Talon was swimming up here to give him the report on the army, saying it's ready to attack, so to go let them in, basically. But instead, you guys were fighting down here, shooting fireballs, and he was like, well, shit. I guess they're ready. So he started galloping down the road to get to the gatehouse to let in the army that was waiting outside. That was also a really good fight.
That was a very fun fight.
Yeah, I'll show you on my little thing, GM info overlay. Here's where Miss Jade Talon was. Bloop. She was out in the... Did I pull you guys here? Yeah.
Oh, dang, so we would have fought both of them in the same fight.
Woo! It's probably good that we split that up, because that was kind of close.
As our good friend Caleb would say, yeesh!
So, let's see here. So you raced to engage him at the gatehouse before he could let his armies in. Ugg used Frulam's halberd in the combat and got lightning bolted by Cyanrath. That's when Cyanrath found out that Frulam was killed. And Ugg took credit for it, even though it was 100% Yuri.
100%.
100%. But yeah, that because that's Ugg's signature move of taking damage. Yuri leapt up the wall with Karen on his back to engage Cyanrath, while Ugg took the long way around the stairs down here. Let's see. The gate started opening partially, and the army started to charge, but Kyla let loose a couple of lightning bolts from scrolls, electrocuting anyone that was charging up the bridge. Tapped out of spell slots and scrolls, she then pulled out a recipe for biscuits. and the charging army broke and dove off the drawbridge rather than eat another potential lightning bolt. I thought that was
good.
so good.
So funny.
I was like, I don't know what she's going to do here. I'm probably going to make these guys run because they don't want to get hit by a lightning bolt. But that little thing, I was like, oh, that was badass. Made me proud, baby.
5 cups of flour.
Cobus dropped this blazing moonbeam up here to pretty much solo the upper half of this and keep them off of the gate controls to the gate wheel to raise the drawbridge and things like that. Let's see. And the fight with Cyanrath was a close one. Yuri got knocked off the wall, but he jumped back up. The enemy wizard, Asbara Joss, centered a fireball on Cyanrath, but rolled abysmal damage. I think it was 13 hit points total.
Oh my
On
gosh.
8d6.
On 8d6. There were so many ones
Wild.
and twos in that. And Karen only had 12 hit points, but she was 5 feet out of range.
Yes.
And it was funny too because it was a decision that we made after her turn. She was like, actually, could Karen have moved here? And then right after.
Yep.
Good.
And, but yeah, Cyanrath was letting loose with his lightning breath. I can't remember if Yuri got dropped or if he got dropped down to 1 hit point, but,
I got dropped to 1 hit point, and I also so I got hurt, and I have written here I used Lay on Hands to heal myself up before engaging Cyanrath, and when I jumped up and he knocked me back down off the edge, I took falling damage equal to the healing I just did. So this was a really funny fight for me because Yuri contributed almost nothing. Yuri's contribution was getting Karen up here, basically.
yeah.
And then the rest of the fight was him just being bombarded by area of effect spells and lightning breath and not doing anything useful.
That was about the point. I was like, "Oh crap! I'm on the wrong side of the gate now because I can't heal anybody."
But you took care of an entire side of the fight, which was pretty incredible.
Oh my goodness.
Moonbeam in toad form.
So you took out Cyanrath, sent the army packing, and so the next day, next couple of days, there was a feast in your honor, and you were awarded the Burduscan Medal of Valor. This is also when you came up with a name for your group, the Defiant Dawn. Janice couldn't pay the bounty she had posted, so instead gave you the deed to her summer home near Waterdeep.
Yes.
Did you guys name that summer home? I thought you did.
Misty Dawn.
Misty Dawn? That
I
sounds
think
legit.
that's what we named it.
I
Could be
think
wrong.
we named it Breeze Home.
Breeze Home?
No, that's the name of the house in Whiterun and Skyrim.
Yes, it's like everybody's first Skyrim now.
But that's what we riffed off of. We're like, well, Breeze Home is like the quintessential PC house.
Alright. Yep. And then, so during the after party, you got into a little tussle with the dragon daggers.
Jumps.
Oh yeah.
That was a fun
Oh my
decompression.
We're here to ruin everyone's good time.
My favorite barroom brawl, man.
Yeah, we had a lot of meters for a lot of clocks from what do you call it?
Blades in the Dark.
Blades in the Dark. Thank you.
Yep.
And you guys filled them all up so quickly. You didn't bother defeating the dragon daggers, but you did take out a few of them along the way. You focused on the others, which were winning over the crowd, humiliating the dragon daggers, and I forget what. Oh, this was a special one. This was when a secret one where the bar owner turned into a massive treant and ended the fight.
This screen is showing as black for me. I don't know if it looks
What?
black for anybody else.
Yeah, it's black.
I can see it on the stream.
Can you see it now?
There we go. Yep, I fixed it. Yeah, I thought this was a very memorable encounter because we had so many of these like charts and clocks going. It felt very dynamic, and I had no idea what direction it was going to go in.
Yeah, that was.
My favorite part was the one person being floating above the pond, and just suspended. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah, you cast levitate on him. My favorite part was the rogue fell into the water 3 times. Yuri threw them in, and then when they were coming back out, something else happened and knocked them back in, and then they were coming back out, and then at the end, the levitation person fell on them and knocked them back in.
I really liked dangling from the chandelier and making a rave. That was very fun for me.
Yeah.
It felt very much like a cutaway scene where it just snaps between a couple of moments that only last 1 to 3 seconds, but
That was great.
very cool.
I failed miserably at a belly flop.
But the guards show up, and they, since you had won over the crowd and pretty much humiliated the dragon daggers, they wound up and you had just saved the town from a dragon and its army, and just received this medal. They arrested the dragon daggers, and you guys got off scot-free. And the next day, you investigated the mystery of how Cyanrath made it into the city. Here's some highlights. Nikolai animated the green dragon and dissected it in the sewers. You had agreed to give him let him dissect the body. And so while you guys were out partying and stuff, he had just moved the dragon, and you guys didn't know where it went or what happened, but tracked him down. I think a few people were upset that he was animating a dragon with necromancy, but he was just using it as a tool. No big deal.
It was so cool.
Bet she did.
Karen's not a moral compass, you guys. Well, she is. It's just always pointed south,
You visited Cyanrath in prison to interrogate him. He was always true to his word and fought to keep his allies protected, but you used magic to force some answers out of him. You also got to know more about Cyanrath and his motivations, and agreed to bury Frula Mundoth under a tree near the dragon hatchery. He didn't understand your good guy motivations or why you spared him. You also saw the dragon daggers in jail and gloated a bit. Karen slipped them a lockpick, but they didn't use it.
Oh.
They didn't want to get into more trouble.
Wusses.
And Janice Hawthorne had made a deal with the cult since she was under financial duress. A lot of her merchant ships had been attacked by pirates and possibly cult influence recently. And she agreed to post a bounty on the Jade Dragon that she couldn't pay to just lure the dragon daggers out of town. And she also smuggled Cyanrath in a few days before the armies were in place. In exchange, they were going to spare her and her house and give her a cut of the profits.
Did you say Jade Dragon?
Jade Talon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did say Jade Dragon, but Jade Talon, the green dragon.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Nothing special.
Huh?
Nothing special.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just recently made a Jade Dragon homebrew, so I got really excited for a second.
Nice. And you never interviewed Crackers, the white horse that Cyanrath was riding, but I had some stuff for him. In case you did.
Crackers?
Yeah.
No.
That's okay. Crackers is
We find him later.
Well, we didn't investigate that serial killer in Baldur's Gate either. But we'll get to that, I'm sure.
We'll get to that.
Baldur's Gate Butcher continued to cut swaths through the city, mowing down everyone in his path.
Quit reading my notes.
He became the leader of the cult and successfully completed
That
the
man's
Tiamat
name
patrol.
was Haynes.
Let me take some notes here real quick.
And Haynes was also Nikolai.
All right. Where are they now? Lady Celeria Dragonbreast. She's made her way to Waterdeep to meet with other members of the powerful factions to discuss next steps against the Cult of the Dragon. Steward Haynes is handling the day-to-day operation of Burdusk and is ruling in Celeria's stead.
No!
Janice Hawthorne was imprisoned and stripped of her lands and titles. Valen Gibson gloated over Janice Hawthorne in prison and used to visit her and just make fun of her and pick at her, but eventually took pity on her as he saw her deteriorate into a shadow of her former self. He paid to commute her sentence, and now she lives in shameful solitude on the Gibson estate.
Like a trophy.
The Dragon Daggers, as part of their community service, were required to go bury Frulan Mundoth for you. There was still a nest of kobolds in the dragon hatchery, but they were no match for the adventurers. And they took her and buried her at the tree that you specified. So, buried at the crest of a hill overlooking the valley below, a grave is shaded by the thick boughs of a very old oak tree. And the Dragon Daggers are still heroes of Verdusk and doing good things. They just weren't happy about the Defiant Dawn horning in on their territory. Some people are staunch Defiant Dawn supporters, though, and don't like the fact that the Dragon Daggers started that bar fight. They just felt that was very petty and childish of them. Jay Talon, instead of selling the body to Nikolai like he tried to get you to do, you said no. You had him dispel the magic on the dragon and buried her outside of town. And where this dragon was buried, thorny bushes and tall grasses grow overly tall in the surrounding area. A single oak tree has already sprouted and has the growth of a 3-year-old sapling, despite only being a few months old. Nikolai Komarov made his way back to his home in Baldur's Gate, where he continues his research and sells his services as a scholar and wizard. I think the last time you talked, he was researching the dragon mask that you had brought to his attention. And Langdodros Cyanrath stays in his jail cell, quietly contemplating his life choices, still wondering why you chose to spare him, the dragon cult having seemingly forgotten him.
Woof.
So that was that. Stark, you still with us, buddy?
I sure am.
Cool.
Sorry,
Listening to some pretty epic battles you guys have had. It's been amazing. A lot of dragons. Makes sense.
Yeah.
what did you say about Cyanra?
He is still in his cell and contemplating his life choices, and the cult has seemingly forgotten about him.
Aww. Wait, seemingly. Sounds suspicious.
Who's left to rescue him at this point?
All right.
Some of the other flights.
Where are they now? So we did all that. And that takes us up to session 10, following the loot. This leg of your journey had you hop on a boat and travel to El Terrell and then Baldur's Gate. From there, you joined a caravan on foot and posed as guards to track down where the cult was sending all the treasure it was collecting. You made your way up to Waterdeep and over to Castle Nereatar. And here's some highlights. Back in Verdusk. Hold on, let me move over to the Sword Coast real quick. And someone's booping me. I'll make sure everything's fine. Oh, I don't see anything. Is this here? Hoard of the Dragon Queen. There we go. All right. So we are on the Sword Coast.
The Sword Coast? Oh boy.
So in Verdusk, Nikolai casts a divination spell for Karen and finds out that Gulliver is in Baldur's Gate. Since that's where everyone is heading, she invites Nikolai to join them.
Yep.
Much to Kyla's chagrin. Let's see. In El Terrell, Karen returned to her home where she found a note from Gulliver. After Doug read the note in Gulliver's voice, the camera cuts back to Karen staring at this note, shaking, and we find out she can't read.
To be fair, she was very upfront about that the whole campaign.
Yeah.
It was some mighty good payoff for me.
That was great.
I had also forgotten in the moment, so it was very good.
Karen only has one flaw, and now she's flawless.
Yes. Let's see. On your way to Baldur's Gate, your boat is attacked by the Flame Reaver pirates. You get a staff of flame and a pirate ship out of the deal. Cobus winds up registering that in Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate. In Baldur's Gate, Cobus gets accosted by the Flaming Fist, thinking he matches the description of the Baldur's Gate Butcher, a set of grisly murders attributed to someone with green reptilian eyes. But we clear his name pretty quickly since we were just hopping off the ship and the captain was able to vouch for you. And this is where Karen went AWOL, so she stays invisible for most of the stay in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, she doesn't want to get pinched,
One other thing that happened was Karen picked up an old copy of her wanted poster because she thought that would be cool.
She's going to frame it in her room.
Let's see. You joined the caravans and started making your way up the Sword Coast towards Waterdeep. Along the way, you met several interesting characters, but only a few, I think, stood out. You can tell me if I missed anybody. There was Green Imsa, a lady who was green from head to toe, including her hair, fingernails, everything. You're not sure why she was green, but she was heading to Baldur's Gate to try and find heading to Waterdeep. Change that. To try and find a cure. There was Verther, a human merchant, a human silk merchant that mistreated his horses. There was Misty, the worthless old nag that was abused by Verther. Asbara Joss was a wizard cultist that joined. He was the wizard that was leading the armies back at Bird Dusk. Let's see. Alex was a cultist who couldn't fathom how Sharon, could have made it into the cult. Let's see. There was Dragonspear Castle. I have a picture of that somewhere. Look but don't touch moment. One of the merchants somehow silently left in the middle of the night with one of the wagons. He had several long crates in the back and a few gargoyle statues tethered with a silver chain. But you felt that staying with the wagons was the prudent course of action and nobody wanted to go after them. I think you fought some trolls along the way. That wasn't too bad for people of your caliber.
Got to show up.
Yeah. In Waterdeep, you finally caught up with Gulliver, an apparent cult member. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, gasp.
Karen got busted in the yawning portal for casting spells and picking pockets instead of apologizing.
Actually, she was putting pockets this time, so she felt doubly incensed,
How dare you? I'm invisible and have my hands in this guy's pocket, and you're accusing me of stealing.
This is my husband.
Instead of apologizing and turning visible, she misty stepped out of there and the guards chased her down but lost her in the city. Gulliver caught up with her and found out that he had joined the cult for money reasons and had been skimming off the top for a while now. He left a note the first time he left and some coin so long ago, but Kobold spotted the hidey hole and stole the money and destroyed the note.
Oh, it was kobolds.
Kobolds.
I'm gonna bust up their fight club.
While catching up with Gulliver, the rest of the party stayed back in the yawning portal. Another adventuring party, the Brotherhood of Steel, returned from the dungeon, and some Driders followed them back. After the tavern goers put all of them down, Victor Steele and company traded war stories with the Defiant Dawn, and a good time was had by all.
Yeah, I hear that adventuring party is really cool. Like, man, especially that one rogue. She seemed pretty awesome.
Pretty lit. Yeah, this was by... I had run Lori and Kaylee through Lost Mines of Phandelver, and that was their adventuring party. So it's just a little shout-out callback.
Oh, yeah, cool callback.
Something
What a cool place, too, the Yawning Portal.
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
so
really
good.
neat. I love the art that you posted of that whole tavern.
That was really
It was
cool.
super detailed. There was so much going on. It just felt really cool.
Yeah,
And I did listen to a little bit of this episode the other day while I might have been drawing or something. It doesn't matter. But I forgot that one of my favorite bits was Gulliver being like, yeah, Alex thinks you're super bad at your job and you might be a spy. And Karen's like, oh yeah, I am super bad at my job and it's because I'm a spy.
he would think you were a spy if you weren't so inept, basically. And turns out you weren't inept at all. You were a spy.
I have 8-hole intelligence.
Nice round number.
So where are they now? Gulliver left the cult and made his way to the Defiant Dawn summer home with Ia and Misty. Misty was acquired and now stays there, and she's recovered her health, but her wagon-pulling days are behind her. And Werther was framed by you as a spy against the cult. He was certainly tortured by the cult, but you're not sure what happened to him after that.
Shame.
Shame. And you kind of know what happened to Asbara Joss and Alex. They're prisoners now. Green Imsa, she made it to Waterdeep, but she could not afford to get her condition cured.
Oh no.
No.
Aw.
Green's a nice color though.
Maybe a GoFundMe would be appropriate.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, don't ask why she's green.
Yep.
She just don't do that.
Why would you ask somebody why they're green? It's just ridiculous.
And here's where my notes for today, start to get a little bit lax. But it's still pretty fresh in my mind. Let's see. We made it to... Let's go back to the Sword Coast. So another thing that happened way back in El Terrell was we saw some plans and some reports and all these different reports of dragons and attacks, and we saw a flying castle. That was kind of a shout out. A little bit of foretelling. Foreshadowing. There we go. And I don't think you noticed it right away, but before the end of the playing session, someone said, whoa, flying castle.
Yeah.
And this was just like all these dragons. Like, I didn't have any specific dragon attacks in mind. I just wanted to say, hey, the cult's been raiding the Sword Coast for a while now, and these are all the different things that have happened. Let's see here. So yeah, after Waterdeep, made our way up to the Karnath Roadhouse. Didn't spend much time there. Instead, you decided to go check in with the Swamp Scales. Kyla stayed behind and joined with Asbara Joss, as she was very useful and just proved to be a very skilled mage. So Asbara Joss thought, hey, you have good potential. Stick with me and I'll take you to the castle. And we can get you promoted in the ranks. Before leaving the caravan, though, this was one thing that I forgot. Karen wound up trading away her staff of flame for a portable hole and a wand of lightning bolt.
Don't
It
worry,
was
we
a
got
long con.
What were you
and
saying,
it was
Kayla?
funny. It was funny how we got the Staff of Fire back too. But I'm sure we'll get that.
We'll get to that. So Kobus met with Sarok, an old friend of his that his parents had kept him out of the military and basically pushed him into merchant pursuits because they had a shaman once predicted his death, that he would die a soldier in battle.
No.
I forgot
Yep.
that part.
Let's see. And so we heard what had happened. So the cult had moved into this castle and put the Bullywugs in charge and subjugated the Swamp Scale tribe. And basically all the loot was funneling up to this castle. Apparently, they had made a deal with Vorag Hamanthar, the Black Death, and basically they're not sure what the details of the deal were, but basically they don't. The dragon's not messing with the castle, and the castle's not messing with the dragon. And let's see what else happened. When we made it to Castle Nereatar, we got more of the details of the situation, and we started to you started to organize the people against to rebel. At first, they weren't on board with it, but they had been kicked out of their home a few times up to this point, and they were just convinced that this was their lot in life now. So you guys went in and were going to go charm. The plan was to go inside and charm Farbleck Spattergoo, and convince him to come outside and then kill him outside, and then that would spark the other people into rebellion, the Swamp Scales. But that didn't work out. He wound up resisting, and that was an epic fight. So let's see.
This is about where I started watching the campaign.
Yeah. This was,
and what a cool backstory, though. You guys have had an amazing adventure.
happy you're here, Stark.
Pretty great so far, and I'm sure it'll continue to be great.
Well, here's hoping. Farbleck Spattergoo was a much less significant villain. I gave him a staff of withering with the skull of Suncaller as part of its as part of the decorations on it. He was a much simpler guy, but I beefed up his hit points, made him big, and found a cool picture for him, and that turned out into a really good fight. I think Ugg got swallowed by him, and but Ugg also used a wand of lightning bolts inside, which both hit Farblex, but also hit him since he was inside him. And I remember him lighting up like a light bulb when you shine a flashlight through your hand.
That's great.
What else happened? Karen was spraying things with her her flask of endless water. There were fireballs and other things, but basically you managed to take this guy out. And when you did, you communicated back to through the telepathic network of the pseudo dragons to start the rebellion outside. So once they started coming in, that's when somebody also said a lie here in the middle of this, that the cult was attacking, which was kind of true since you guys looked like cultists. And so that got the bullywugs and the cultists fighting outside, and that pulled the Dragonborn inside. So they started fighting each other. Kyla was still infiltrating, and they started launching fireballs down at the bullywugs. Kobus released these huge mega lizards into the crowd and fought a bunch of stuff. And then, as part of the fight, Sarok, we failed to roll somewhere, like some sort of tactics roll or something. I forget what it was. But Kobus had the decision to either let Sarok die out of position or engage and ruin the element of surprise and risk a whole bunch of other people. So Kobus decided Sarek's got to go, and so Sarek did follow through on his prophecy. Kyla casts Charm Person on Dralmor Borngray, but
And
she
it was supposed to fail.
but she did it silently and with her meta magic feat. So he wasn't sure who turned on him, but he knew one of you did. So then he starts attacking you, and then Asbara, Joss, and Kyla attacked him back. And he slowly but surely got pushed back here. He had like a wall of fire up and a couple other things. And then this Audiog that was in the trash pile snatched him up. But before he went into the Audiog's mouth, still clutching that staff of flame, and Karen, even though she didn't see it, was still screaming, "No!" Kyla snatched it out of his hand with a mage hand, and Dralmor got consumed. Burp. While you guys were fighting out here and engaging the cultists, Rezmir was up top, and ID'd you as she knew who you were, and she flew down from here. Like, she was at the top of this observatory tower with the big, huge telescope in it, and came over to here up on the second floor, and went inside a trap door. And she wound up fleeing through this teleportation circle. You fought some weird dragonborn that had been turned into these kind of white necrotic guys. They were part white dragon, part necromancy bad guys, and wound up beating them up. Instead of pursuing through the teleporter, you took like a long rest, and that kind of just wrapped up things here. You wound up making another deal with Vorag Hamanthar, and what else happened? And sent some of the treasure that you thought he'd appreciate back with some kobolds that showed up to collect the payment. I think it was like one of these two statues that had was just this magnificent statue of a black dragon. They came in a pair, and you sent him one of them. And so far, the deal has held. Where are they now? We had a bunch of cultists that we had captured as prisoners. Bullywugs either escaped or were put to death. And the Emerald Enclave was able to come and collect the prisoners and take them away so the Swamp Scales wouldn't have to deal with them. Let's see, what else happened? I think they put up a statue of Sarok for his sacrifice. And so far, they're just they're making the castle more livable. With the bullywugs gone, they're able to keep things a little bit cleaner. They're repairing walls and floors and things like that, and hopefully over the next year they'll become a functioning town that maybe even has trade. I think that's what Cobus had plans for.
You betcha.
And I think there were some more things that he wanted to do.
Were the swamp scale dragonborn all one kind of dragonborn?
Yep, it was green.
Green.
But if you wanted to like claim some roots for your future character, that'd be fine.
Nope, just trying to fill in my mental picture there.
Yeah. Where is... That's not it. One second. So a couple of things that Cobus wanted to do. I think this would all be doable. Wants to turn the castle into a hanging garden. So like I don't know if you're wanting to be like a tourist attraction or just have a lot of plants hanging around. Tourist attraction, I think, will be a tougher sell since there's a black dragon nearby.
No, it's more just a more for fitting of a druid type of tribe and things like that.
He wants to dedicate and remodel a room of Castle Neritar for each of the Dawn's Defiance members. That should be fine. And also want to create statues of her sacrificed friends, the shaman leader and Sarok at the entranceway. Very nice.
Can I describe like what each room for each of the Defiant Dawn?
Hell yeah.
So I picture for Kyla the tallest tower becoming an observatory, and I want there to be like a easel with empty canvas so she can observe the black dragon that flies by and paint it whenever she wants. And then for Yuri, like in the very center of the castle, I want it there to be like an open arena where they train all the tribesmen to fight like Yuri, and they have tales that they share with like a pit fighting type of thing.
Cool.
And then Karen, I would like to have a secret trap room where it's nothing but a gallery of all of the treasures that she's collected.
Yes.
Very nice.
Teleportation circle just into that room.
Yeah.
And what's your room look like, Cobus?
Yeah.
Mine is the whole thing of the hanging gardens, I think. Just to have the vines and flowers and just seeing the tribe and Defiant Dawn become successful and succeed.
Yeah, the Bullywugs were very... they're just very... They don't care about the muck. They like the muck. So anytime they were tracking stuff in, they didn't bother cleaning it up. And the castle was getting not quite unlivable, but it wasn't pleasant.
Yeah.
The way the swamp scales do things, they'd have like reed floors in their houses and spots to keep the mud off. But the way the Bullywugs' houses were, they were just usually open mud floors with big pits of stagnant water that they would all just crowd into, and nobody really owned anything. And so it was like more and more of that muck was getting just drug in everywhere. So it's been an effort to get all that cleaned out. But the cleanup efforts are going well.
Cool.
All right. So yeah, the one of the after things that we'll probably need to talk about is this this observatory is a magic item that probably needs either some gnomish tinkers to come in to clean it, to do maintenance on it, or some arcane spellcasters, artificers to come in and repair things. Because it's in very much disrepair, but you can use it. Using it before that risks breaking it.
Oh.
So if that's something you're interested in, we'll just have to put some effort and resources into that, but shouldn't be a problem.
Absolutely. I was kind of thinking maybe that would be like Kyla's room.
That's
where
nice. Yeah, there were two like rooms in the tower, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of rooms down here on the ground floor. There's more rooms up on the middle floor, and then up top is the observatory.
Cool.
And it looks like we did name it. We named it the Misty Dawn Retreat.
Nice.
Oh, sorry. I found this. Found this off of Patreon. I can't pronounce that. CZEPEKU.
Zepeku.
But this was a nice little manor house that we that we got. It's in disrepair. It looks like most of the expensive stuff has been looted and sold off for cash, and the staff was not here. So Gulliver and Ia have been working on the cleanup efforts of this place.
I hear Gulliver's shredded.
Ia's always been kind of cranky, not a nice person to be around, so I picture Gulliver as kind of a nice person and putting up with her crap, but anxiously awaiting the return of Karen.
Maybe they're just both cranky together, and that's why they get along.
Just a lot of grunting back and forth.
Yeah.
Like they're the only two people there in the morning. They just like walk into the same room, up nod, grunt, and then get on with their day.
The perfect roommates.
All right.
Where is... So you... After Castle Neritar, you went through the teleportation circle that you had found, and were expecting like a big fight, but there wasn't a fight. There wasn't anything. What happened? Here's what happened. Rezmir had fled when she saw you and was like going to get ready for the castle to prepare, but she didn't tell anybody that she had lost the castle. She didn't tell anybody that there were adventurers coming, anything like that. She's like, we'll just head out that way and get things ready to go now, and blame this failing on my underlings.
I'm sure it'll work out fine.
Pure strategy.
Yeah.
I hear it went great for them.
So you come here and see this hunting lodge. There's a kennel outside, a stable. You decided to go inside the hunting lodge and started not really sure what to do, but hearing a little bit of noise back here, you went back here and started helping with the cooking preparations.
Karen's an infiltrator, you guys. She's really good at this.
And let's see, what all happened back here? Kobus wound up poisoning the food or the drinks. Poisoned the drinks. And later on, when you were still posing at cultists and eating stuff, Ugg was like eating and drinking. And Ko was like, you shouldn't be drinking. He's like, what are you talking about? Why shouldn't I be drinking? I always drink. Are you okay? And he just wasn't picking up the subtle hints of what was happening. Let's see. And up here we met with Talus. She kind of figured out that you guys weren't who you said you were, and there was about to be a fight break out. Yuri shoved the table over and pinned all the cultists up against the wall. But Talus is like, it doesn't have to go this way. We could talk about this. And you guys, it took us a while to figure out whether or not we were going to deal with Talus or kill Talus. And ultimately, we decided to deal with Talus. And she shared some information with you, gave you a banner to get into the Skyreach Castle later, and gave you a task of killing Verum, the guy in charge of the White Dragon Wing. Let's see here. You almost turned on her, but then decided against it. Waiting outside was Trespin, the four-armed troll. You'll find out later that he was a demon worshiper. Did anything else of note happen here? I don't think so. I think you guys just made the deal with her. So, afterwards, you guys left. A couple of things you didn't know about. There's quite a bit of treasure in here. Talus wound up stealing a bunch of the good stuff for herself. There were some larger magic items that we can talk about. There was a mural in one of these rooms that basically you could walk through and it would teleport you outside into the surrounding forest, typically near a deer or other big game. What else was there? Outside there were three portals over the next probably somebody in your in one of your organizations, or you will research over the next few days and find out where these go. I think one of them goes way up north to some to part of the World Spine Mountains, and then one of them goes down south, way down south to a desert location, and that's near where Linathan's. Hey, Kent, welcome to the stream.
Hi, buddy.
Okay.
And let's see what else happened. So one of them goes down south into the desert, and that's near where Linathan's lair is. When you guys finally get back here, there's going to be a couple things that you find. About half the cultists were slaughtered, and you piece it together that it was probably Talus that did it. She wanted to make it look like her base got attacked and ransacked by you guys. And there were 3 prisoners that you didn't know about that were in the basement that were all killed. Just were people you didn't know about.
Ugh.
Curse you, Talus the White.
Yeah. And she wound up going down to the town like probably a few hours after you did, and found out that she herself had left on wyverns, but she said, "No, I didn't." Here I am, you fool. So
Did they believe her?
they're going to wind up believing her, but I still think it was a good idea. Like your idea to try and frame her up. Let's see. After that, we hopped on some wyverns that went up to Skyreach Castle. Do. This here we flew on wyverns impersonating Talus, came down and were about to kill Verum. Walked in on his private meeting, and unfortunately, Kyla's sister was there, and that threw a big wrench in. That threw a big wrench in her plans. She's like, "Oh God, what do we do?" So instead of
murder.
Instead of just murdering everyone, you left for a little bit, came up with a plan, came back, and attacked Verum.
Murdered almost everyone.
Almost
everyone. Everyone but Tefreya. And here we had a rug of smothering. Verum almost made it away. What else happened?
Karen crisped some kobolds.
Yeah, she did. Threw some fireball, turning these 2 kobolds into piles of ash. And basically it was a tough fight, but not too bad. You decided to explore the rest of the keep and made it up to here and knocked on the door. And this is where I put on my scary dragon voice and said, "Leave us." And you didn't. You knocked a second time, and then as soon as Resmir opened the door, everyone just dogpiled on her. There were fireballs and lightning bolts, and then way back here was Rathmodar, who Kyla threw a cheeky whole person at him, and he failed his save. Even though he had a really good wisdom save, he botched it. He was the one that was in charge of researching the ritual to bring back Tiamat, and one of the books written in Infernal was some of the details of that. You'll find that out over the next month or two or the next little while. I don't know how you guys are.
Beyond the Iron Gates.
Oh, yeah. But that that just burned through some of your resources. Not too badly though, because it was mainly just a one a 1 or 2 round fight. So thinking you guys were done with everything, you walked around the castle a little bit, tried to figure out where the treasure was going, followed those wagon tracks down, and found a white dragon. Here I put in my scary voice again. You guys showed up and then wound up telling it. It asked you if you brought it treasure, if you brought it food, and everyone's like, treasure, treasure, treasure. And you guys started dumping some treasure out. And it was convinced that you were cultists, and so he let you do that. You also saw some prisoners in the back there, a couple of giant children, frost giant or cloud giant children, and some humanoids that were also there. And I think that's where Karen might, or where Allie's next character might come from. But instead of engaging it, you guys did a 180, tracked down the cloud giant that was in charge of the castle, and enlisted his help. Upstairs, you started talking bad about the dragon like it couldn't hear you, which made him fly up to the hole and engage the party for a round of combat, while Karen snuck back behind here and invisible and freed the giants. She tried to get them to stay quiet, but they didn't care. They were stupid. They were scared. They were terrified, and they just got the heck out of there immediately, which got the attention of the white dragon. And the white dragon came back to engage Karen solo, and then Karen drew like this awesome picture that I wanted to share.
Oh, thank you.
Put that up on screen for people. I really like the dynamic nature of the blurriness of the dragon and Karen in focus up here. I just thought that was super cool.
She's just so small.
She is small, barely even a snack for this thing.
Right?
So in that fight, Karen wound up sustaining a pretty bad wound to her leg. She got dropped a couple of times. Let's see. It was using its legendary actions pretty cleverly. Tried to wall off. It tried to wall itself off back here, but Ugg came up and chopped through the ice wall with with his big axe. Kyla threw down some wall of flame, keeping the dragon from running out. If it would have run through that, then it would have burned up. And what else happened? Pretty much everybody jumped down the hole, and everybody but Yuri was taking falling damage as they were trying to get to the dragon to engage it.
Except for the 2 people I cast fly on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you cast fly on the giant. The giant came down there and started wailing on it.
That was pretty cool.
The giant was invisible.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Until Karen beefed it. Almost.
Yeah. So a couple of death saving throws were rolled, but we managed to beat that, and that pretty much ended the module. Blagothkus, I think, transferred ownership of the castle to Yuri.
At least in the interim, I think that's correct.
Yep. So basically the way it works is whoever's in charge of the castle, they can't be coerced into giving control of the castle to anyone else. There's a control room up in one of the towers on the upper courtyard. I'll show that to you. this place right here that's on the front of the castle. Like the castle's traveling in the direction of this blue arrow. Right now you have a small army of semi-loyal ogres and a bunch of cultists and some kobolds. Probably what happened afterwards, unless you guys have different ideas. You could have the ogres engage with the cultists and they can whittle each other down.
Seems appropriate.
Then you also made a promise not to defile the tomb of Blagothkis's wife, who was entombed here.
Escalarta.
Yep, there's a couple of cool things that happen here. There's if you say Escalarta in this room, then you get teleported over here. And if you say Blagothkis, then you get teleported back. Anything else of note? I guess the only where are they now? Tefreya Night Gem is a prisoner that we still need to speak with. Blagothkis took his children and went back to his tribe. And the guy that sold him and his tribe out, he engaged him and took back over control of the tribe.
Nice.
So that was Hoard of the Dragon Queen.
Woo!
We did it!
You did it. So
Thank you for running for us up to this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys have a flying castle, way more treasure than you probably know what to do with, some magic items. What else is going on? So I wanted to talk a little bit about what you accomplished. You guys killed the leader of the Black Wing, killed the leader of the White Wing, killed the head wizard that was researching the ritual, stole the big portion of the treasure that they were using for that they were going to use to bring Tiamat back. I could see a world where you guys just claimed victory and just we moved on and did different things. But there's a whole nother second half of this module that if you wanted to make a case that no, we won that, we don't have to play the rest of that, then I would accept that and we'd do something else.
We don't want to go on this epic, amazing adventure.
Yeah, that's kind of the
Come
thing.
up with something yourself.
That's kind of the things. Like, I could see you guys have already accomplished so much and so well that Tiamat just doesn't get to come back. But I think it would be really cool if Tiamat still gets to come back and you guys have to fight her at the end of the module.
I don't think we have to fight Tiamat.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, it will be
Level what now?
15, but she would be a weakened form of her because of other things that you have done. Like right now you have one of the dragon masks that will that cuts down on her challenge rating and cuts out some of her abilities. There's other things you can do which are going to cut down on a lot of her hit points and other things by interrupting different things and stopping the ritual, etc., etc. So I'm not going to throw you.
Tiamat, let's go.
If I threw out Tiamat, I think even if you guys were level 20, then if it was a fair fight, I think Tiamat would win. So that's not my goal. I'm not trying to do that. So if you guys fought it at Tiamat at the end of this module, then it's gonna be a tough fight. I'm not gonna pull any punches, and some of you might die, but it's gonna be a winnable fight.
Potentially winnable. Unless we goober up real bad.
Yep.
Karen, we need your help. We're gonna go off and fight Tiamat.
I don't think I will.
No, I'm retired.
Like, I have a cool new leg now, and I don't want that to get eaten too, so. Good luck.
So I guess a quick poll sounds like we do want to continue and fight and check out the rest of the module.
Heck yeah.
That sounds cool to me.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Okay.
please. I didn't sit through all that just to not play.
On second thought, let's not go there. It is a silly place.
Nice. All right. Let's see. Coming up here to my notes. I
Evan,
think
you're going to need a bigger toad, by the way.
You have a bigger form now, don't you? I don't think we've seen it yet.
Yeah, I just haven't actively chosen it. I was enjoying the toad.
Yeah, dude, Toad's awesome.
Toad's
think,
pretty sick.
At level 6, I got magical attacks with the beast form.
Ooh.
And I believe it's my level divided by 3 for the challenge rating or something like that.
I mean, if you can get a big enough toad form, I mean, Tiamat's really just a fly, essentially. And that right up.
Can you
Pretty
imagine the
sure-
size of the tongue?
I'm pretty sure she's gargantuan, so that's going to have to be a pretty big-ass toad.
I mean,
It's not going to stop me. I tried to eat the white dragon.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a scroll of Tarask summoning, and then we're going to polymorph it into a big toad.
There you go. I
dope.
like that. I like it.
All right. So I think here would probably be a good spot to introduce new characters, talk about who's fading into the background and who's joining the Defiant Dawn.
Well, I tell you.
Kaylee?
Karen's adventure days are done.
Kaylee, you have no plans to change Kyla, is that correct?
Yeah, unless Cobus is also changing, then that would mean everyone's changing, so I may as well.
Right.
Kyle still has so many dragons to draw.
Even if everybody changed, you could still be the anchor that, is the OG Dawn.
Mhm.
Absolutely. You could be like the reigning leader, the one that shows the ropes to everybody else.
I had a much, much worse metaphor. I was like, the mayonnaise of the sandwich that is the team.
Mayonnaise on an Escalade.
Cobus, you were not planning on leaving, correct?
That is correct.
Doug, we'll get back to you, let you decide here in a little bit. Allie, you were definitely talking about switching. Karen has kind of accomplished everything she set out to do.
Yeah, she did it. She got it.
All right. Kaylee, will you tell us about your character? And then that way Stark and other new viewers can just kind of get a sense of who your character is and what you are.
You mean Allie?
No, I mean Kaylee. Kyla.
Not confusing.
But I'm not changing my character.
I know, but Stark has never heard about your character or the details of it. So I would like you to talk about your character so people can maybe riff off of some of the things.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, that caught me off guard. Yeah, Kyla is a sorcerer who comes from a town in the northeast. She's descended from a big gold dragon named Lightbringer who lives in a mountain.
Oh, that's cool.
And she has a couple of minor goals, like collecting a scale from each color of dragon, making a fancy display case for that.
Which colors do you have so far?
I have white, green, blue, brass, and gold.
Oh, so not only the chromatic, but the
Metallic.
gosh, the metallic as well. Cool.
Yeah. And yeah, she's basically a dragon scholar that prefers to talk with the dragons than to fight them, but she obviously understands when we need to fight a dragon, so.
She's not dragonborn. She's human.
Yeah, she's a human.
But she is a dragon blood sorcerer.
Dragon blood sorcerer.
So she's got a little dragon blood in her.
Less than 1% when I did the math. So it's not much.
But it is a
enough.
potent 0.75.
Cool. Cobus, yeah, why don't you go next?
Oh yeah, so my little swampy with the Swamp Scales tribe, all green dragonborn. I picture they're kind of a friendlier group of dragonborn. They have a very druidic, ritualistic type of background. Cobus himself kind of travels the lands trying to teach people on through the ingredients of drinking of his famous drinks, showing them, hey, from this piece of nature, I made all these awesome drinks. This is why it's important to maintain a balance in our world. And it's just a general friendly, easygoing guy. No grand schemes of any kind.
And the most intelligent of our entire group.
Oh yeah, and
True.
Kylo's also working on a book about dragons.
And you're doing your own research for the ages.
Yeah.
Cobus's swamp scale, was that a background before the tribe that you ran into, or was the tribe placed specifically because it was your background, or how did that all work together?
The module had those things as lizard folk,
Oh, okay.
so I just I threw it in there because I thought it'd be interesting to
Oh, that's
change
perfect.
them to Cobus's tribe.
Awesome. Yeah, that worked great.
That's about it for me.
All right, Allie, do you have a pretty good handle on your new character?
She's super cool, very blue, a tiefling, paladin. Not a warlock this time, guys.
Not a warlock. This is new territory for Allie, and I'm very proud of her for branching out.
And I appreciate that. And maybe she'll take a level of warlock at some point. Who knows?
Sure.
Who knows what she's gonna get up to? But she's as of right now, oath of vengeance.
Mm.
Who is she venging?
Just like the people.
The people?
Yeah,
Bad
like
guys.
the royal people. She's gonna, revenge for their sufferings.
I see.
I think she's heard stories about the Defiant Dawn before she got captured and was in that dragon cage.
Nice.
Who's her patron?
Huh?
Who's her patron?
She's not a warlock. Are you talking about for her paladin powers?
Yeah, paladin.
Yeah, do you have do you get your powers from a god or just from your cranky attitude, or where's your power come from?
From her own grit. She's actually not very cranky, though.
One of the things I really like about 5e paladins is they don't have to be tied to a god, and they're also not tied to a specific alignment. So it's the personal fortitude of your oath, like your own sworn allegiance to whatever those goals are, what fuels you.
We once had a paladin of Cthulhu in Curse of Strahd.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
It was terrible.
Sounds rough.
Doug, what kind of paladin was Yuri?
Yuri is an Oath of Glory paladin, so his everything is about accomplishing great deeds and then having other people see him do that, and that's sort of like what fuels him.
Okay.
So
A little bit of pride.
Oh, super prideful.
And
but
the Vengeance Paladin is more bent on just furious combat prowess.
Vengeance is more about punishing the evil rather than protecting the people from the evil. You protect people by punishing evil.
It's perfect. Cuts out the middleman entirely.
But like Oath of Glory does that too, but Yuri is more about he's doing it for the sake of accomplishing something great that everyone will remember and talk about. So definitely a little arrogant.
A little self-serving.
And inspiring others to do great deeds as well, like doing the right thing instead of not.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thanks for the morality backup.
Yes, sir. Let's see. What was your character's name, Allie?
Aster.
Aster. Very cool.
No last name. Like Madonna.
And why is she so fueled with vengeance? What's pissed her off over the years?
She just, she's just like, okay, so let me lay this out. She's not very smart. I like playing dumb characters. So she can't really see the bigger picture, but she sees all these towns getting picked on by people like the cult. And she's like, that's garbage. Somebody should do something about that. And then she has a big axe. So she's like, oh, I can do something about that.
Nice.
Hey, I'm somebody.
I'm somebody.
Yep.
That's me.
And she got
What's
picked
your
on.
name, young lady? I don't know. Aster.
Can your first name be Aster and your last name be Isk? Asterisk.
Tempting. But
Listen.
Ed might kick me out of the game
Yes.
preemptively.
Listen, don't get her character killed before she even plays.
So you told me a little bit about her backstory, and I think some of that's going to become obvious. Do you mind if I share that?
Go for it.
Like she was picked on as a child, and being a tiefling, just subject to some prejudice, and I think she lost part of her horn and part of her tail.
She lost part of her tail. She had to get it amputated because some kids were just nasty bullies. So she's very self-conscious about that. Wears big skirts all the time, so nobody can tell. Just cuts that out, so she doesn't have to be self-conscious about it anymore. But her half of her horn, one of her horns, got chipped off when she was getting captured. So she's a little sad about that still, I think.
Okay.
But
I know how you feel. I lost one of my friends.
it's the good one
I'm
too.
so sad I don't have my therapy tiefling, who also got bullied as a child,
Oh no!
and who gives everybody else therapy because everyone has horrible backstories.
Oh, yes. That's a good character archetype. I like that.
Nice.
Now, how do you feel about that?
Stark or Doug, you want to go next?
I'd be happy to.
Cool.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to hear.
So the character concept is a gold dragonborn who is his years of service are behind him. He's going to be a cleric of Bahamut, quite elderly for a dragonborn. He's going to be in his 60s. Source material says they live into their 70s, so he's up there in age. In fact, he's got fading gold scales along his jawline, kind of gray, the version of graying hair. It's got a bit of a bad back and a kind of a paunchy belly, but his arms are still strong and his mind is still sharp, and he's being called back into service by the champions of Bahamut because of this rise of this dragon cult that is plaguing the Sword Coast. And so his intention is to once again do the work of Bahamut, come out of retirement, and he's seeking out those that are like-minded and able to turn this tide of this cult against this cult of Tiamat. So he's a little curmudgeonly, he'll talk slow and raspy like this, kind of an old man,
Nice.
but he's ready to get his long sword out and go to battle. But
Very
yeah,
nice.
cleric war domain of Bahamut.
That was my next question.
Yes, be war domain.
Very cool. Well, I think
And
he
I'm
sounds-
excited to play. It's gonna be great.
Oh, absolutely. We're excited to have you, man.
And Douglas, what about you? Are you keeping Yuri? Or are you retiring Yuri to go start his mercenary company?
So I honestly still don't know what the answer to that is yet.
That's fine.
I wanted to hear what everybody was talking about today and see where we're at. So as a recap, Yuri is a brass dragonborn Oath of Glory paladin. He fights with an unarmed style, usually with one or two shields. His main character goal as an Oath of Glory paladin is to just, continue rising up to accomplish great deeds and inspire others around him. But outside of that, I didn't really bring an overarching, this is what my character is working towards goal, because I didn't know how the story was going to go or what the group dynamic was going to be, and I didn't want to try to orient the story in a direction based around that. So I've enjoyed having more of a passive goal as we go through the module. As for where he's going, I could see him either continuing to man the castle and take care of that for the group as a whole, while possibly flying it around the Sword Coast to continue recruiting more people into the fold to either the Lord's Alliance or, more under the Defiant Dawn banner as its own entity that could be either specifically gearing up against the cult or, greater threats like that. So one of the notes that I'd written on the sheet as potential ideas would be to take it around as sort of a traveling event. Everybody would know that, the Great Castle in the Sky is going to come and then land, and people will come and they can show off and, recruit the best of the best and keep spreading the good word, which would, bolster his own glory as well.
That's pretty awesome.
So that seems to make a lot of sense to me, and then he could potentially come back at a later time as, a higher level character with other stuff having, gone on in the background while the group goes off to do its own thing, and also serve as a base of operations the group can return back to, much like the summer home. So that's one idea. I might also continue playing him. But the other character idea I had, I kicked around for a while, and I think I finally landed on possibly an arcane trickster rogue who would specifically be the niece of Nikolai Komarov.
Nice.
Who's the necromancer wizard rival of Kyla Nightgem.
Best friend of Karen Rifle.
Yeah, best friends with Karen. But that she would potentially be more of an Indiana Jones style relic acquirer, or maybe more of an intellectual socialite that goes around acquiring texts and information and research for Nikolai, at least peripherally. So she never took her studies quite as seriously as he wanted, but she has more practical hands-on experience.
Uncle Nikolai is so stuffy.
Uncle Nikolai is so stuffy. I'm sorry about him. But yeah, she would certainly be a less serious overall character, more of a skill-oriented person, but I could see there being fun to be had for that, especially if Karen is departing as the rapscallion of the group.
We need a scamp!
Yeah, she's more of a scamp. But as an arcane trickster, she's got mostly enchantment and illusion spells. I was going to give her the ritual caster feat, which lets her have her own little mini wizard spell book with 2 spells in it to start, but she can also acquire ritual spells to write in there. And I just like the idea of her having a little spiral-bound notebook that she flips open with poorly scrawled writing that she has to squint down at and read over a 10-minute period to even do anything.
Nice. Well, I think both characters would still fit. If you wanted to go more frontline fighting thing, I think the War Cleric and the Path of Glory and Path of Vengeance Paladin definitely front loads your armor class and your melee fighting. But if you feel like we need a scamp, then I could definitely see, since Karen's bowing out, then you could fill that role. As an impartial game master, I'm happy with anything. The 5e system seems very tolerant. It doesn't seem like you have to have a tank and a cleric and a DPS. It seems pretty tolerant of random party makeups. So the only thing you need to do is just decide, and then we can work people into the party.
Gotcha. From a mechanics point of view, I would probably play her as more of a melee character with either a rapier. She knows Shadow Blade is one of her spells. Which lets it use it as either a melee or a thrown weapon. Does psychic damage. Pretty cool. So she would probably benefit from other characters in melee because she'd get the advantage that way. And she'd be a little bit tankier because she has evasion and stuff like that, but could also function from a range too.
Nice. Well, I think we can probably integrate Aster pretty easily. If she was a prisoner in the in Skyreach Castle and was seeking to join the Defiant Dawn, I think that story kind of writes itself.
Nice.
Stark.
My character's name would be Taisho Mori. Yeah, and he's heard of the exploits of the Defiant Dawn and is actively seeking them out, trying to figure out where they're at,
Nice.
hoping that they'll take him on as an ally.
So the way the next module is supposed to start, all of the important factions and leadership of towns have kind of come together in Waterdeep as kind of a meeting of the leadership to figure out, okay, we've discovered kind of what the cult's plans are. They're serious. They have been moving around and doing these things. The Defiant Dawn has come in and stopped a lot of what they were planning. And basically, there's as they're discussing and starting to get their resources together and figure out where the cult is going to strike next, what their ultimate goal is, and try to stop it. They realize now that they're trying to bring Tiamat back into the world, and nobody wants that. That's a spot where we could hook Stark in. But if we're going to do you've put a big dent in the cult's plan, so I want to give you guys plenty of downtime to do a couple of things that you've shown interest in the past. And so later on in this session, we're going to detail out kind of what those things are. I know Kyla said she wanted to go visit Linathan. Kevin had mentioned some things about Vorag Hamanthar. What else? So if we weren't going to spend too much time doing that, then that'd be a good spot. But if we are, then I'd like to get you in. I don't really care if the story makes sense or not. If we want to just jam you in right up front, I'm more concerned with having a good time and getting everybody in. I've been in plenty of games where I've got a great spot for your character to come in at, and then it's like 2 or 3 hours before you get to roll your first die. So I don't want that. Next session, I want you in the door, start of the game.
All right, cool.
So if we can come up with something cool or some reason for you to be joining the party, right now you guys are over here in your flying castle, near Parnast, and I guess what are your next set of plans? You know about the faction meetings that are happening in Waterdeep right now. What are your immediate goals as the Defiant Dawn?
Get our faction promotions, man.
Well, to do that, probably heading back to Waterdeep. There's a couple ways you could do that. Flying the castle back is one way. You can produce a cloud around the castle so that it's mostly covered.
Awesome.
The only issue is if it's really windy or something like that, then some people might see it. And if there's dragons and stuff flying around in the area, then you might draw some attention there. But for the most part, you can get over there relatively safely, and I'm not going to make us roll anything for that. But to get there that way is going to take a while.
How fast does the castle move?
I want to say, probably 50 miles a day. Let's
Whew,
see.
that's slow.
So quicker than going on foot, at least.
Yeah, it moves about as fast as walking, but it can just travel all night long. So 750 divided by 5 is 25. Is that right? No. I can't do math in my head anymore. 15. So about 15 days, couple of weeks. To get over to Waterdeep. The other thing you could do is you could head back to the hunting lodge and teleport back here and then walk back down, which would be about 10 days probably. So not saving too much time.
So Taisho's retirement has taken him to a small hamlet near the Ardeep forest outside of Waterdeep, fairly outside, but closer to the Ardeep.
Mm-hmm.
One of the tenets of Bahamut is to, take care of those that are weaker and unable to take care of themselves. So he spent time around that small hamlet, taking care of the townsfolk there, tending to their wounds, taking care of the sick. But once it's known to him that there's a rising evil, he could easily make a journey to Waterdeep and look for some of his contacts there that might be part of the Order of the Gauntlet. He may even have some contacts in the Lord's Alliance or Emerald Enclave. He has no membership to any of them, but is friendly with all of those factions.
Okay.
And he may seek them out to see what information they could give him as far as how to find this Defiant Dawn.
Right on.
So that might be a hook in Waterdeep.
Yeah. Hey, Allie, is Aster a member of the Order of the Gauntlet? They're kind of the holy warriors, paladins, clerics, that sort of thing. Did you say whether or not she wanted to join that that Sword Coast faction?
That sounds cool.
All right. Yeah, I'll probably start you out at either rank 2 or maybe rank 3.
Neat. See, the only reason Karen didn't join anything is because she doesn't trust authority.
That makes sense. Yeah, so I could see people in Waterdeep vouching for you, and they would probably have a way to get in touch with the Defiant Dawn somehow, either through animal messengers or crazy magic or whatever, and they could announce your presence, and you could link up with them on the way there.
Nice.
So yeah, so you're seeking out the Defiant Dawn, and then the Defiant Dawn is coming back to hang out in Waterdeep for a little bit just to find stuff out. There were a lot of things that people kind of wanted to pursue, and I want to make sure and dedicate some time to that. There were some. You wanted to get this merchant ship going. You wanted to get. You wanted the not Skyreach Castle. You wanted the Swamp Scales and Castle Neritar to start kind of becoming their own city. Things like that. So I want to make sure that's definitely going on the list for next time. Was there any details about that you wanted to cover now? Like, do you want to build a port up here? You had talked about creating a dock down here so that you could just have a spot to get on and off your boat here. But if you're wanting this place, the Castle Neritar, to become kind of a trading, then a port there would do quite a bit of good.
Sure, that sounds good. Yeah, because we're real close to the coastline there. That would be super easy for the ship to go back and forth.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So keep in the castle for now. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You do have a lot of treasure. Like, I think it's in the order of somewhere between 50 and 70,000 gold. A lot of that was
Thank
all.
you, portable hole. Just saying.
And don't forget to thank all the people that it was stolen from all up and down the Sword Coast. So there's a lot of people.
Okay, well, maybe they shouldn't have let it get stolen.
We're just standing up on our flying castle, pointing down. Yes, thank you, goodbye. As we fly by at 50 miles per day.
So if you guys want to keep it all, you've earned it. That's definitely fine. I could see some people in the party making an argument for donating a big portion of that back to the people and making sure it gets into the right hands.
Karen wearing 3 separate crowns at once. I don't know about you guys, but
Just imagine you have so many bangles on your arms and legs that you, like they're all out straight. You have to like totter back and forth to walk.
There's like three rings on each finger.
I mean,
It's
she
like
can
that
fly,
one-
so
It's like that one scene from Pirates of the Caribbean after they got all of the cursed coins in the chest, and then Jack Sparrow just took like armfuls of treasure.
Yeah.
He was wearing like 3 crowns.
I do like what you just said about Karen being able to fly, though, because that means she doesn't have to be able to move.
yes. My encumbrance is so high.
From all the treasure.
Only
So
fly just above ground.
Gulliver definitely stole enough money from the cult to for you guys to live a happily ever after and still have a nice wedding. If you need more, Karen, then that's fine. But I'd like that to be a group decision.
She's gonna keep some of it, but she's always intended on giving a lot of it back. You know, she's not gonna get greedy about her capital gains tax. You know.
That's fair.
I mean, you got a secret room with that you can hang all your treasure stuff in. So if you want to take a little extra, you go right ahead. I'm totally fine with that.
Secret room.
We come back and we're like, where'd 40,000 gold go? And so this is like, I might know.
Oh, you mean she didn't tell you? Oh, this is awkward.
So,
Yeah, I think Yuri doesn't have any emotional connection to treasures that, like, he likes treasure in so much as he can show it off to talk about the things that they've done, but more practical stuff would be, battle trophies and things like that. Although if there are useful magic items that would aid them, that would be of interest to him. Otherwise, he's fine with donating it back or using it to fund projects for, the good of the people. But he does want to keep some to help get their business ventures off the ground, like the shipping and building the docks. And if he does end up trolling around the coast and the castle, funding stuff like that to draw attention. Maybe that's how they distribute a lot of it.
That's a good idea.
They just go back and work with the leadership and the political structure to figure out how much was lost to then,
There you go.
disseminate it back.
I like that idea.
The Harpers are just like, oh yes, I remember this belonged to us.
Yeah.
I recognize
Strum
that
along
gold
now.
piece.
Harpers are like, oh, how much did you get? Oh, yeah, that's exactly how much we want.
That's peculiar. Yeah, there were a couple of magic items that we kind of glossed over that didn't that we didn't get to investigate. The insignia of claws, I thought that may be something Yuri was interested in. It basically makes your unarmed attacks +1.
Nice.
I think that's definitely really cool. Mechanically, from the Lord's Alliance, I got a +1 weapon, and I said that was a shield, and I treated it as a +1 weapon instead of giving myself a bonus to armor or anything.
That's cool.
But I still like that, though. That's cool.
If you want this to be an amulet shield, and this can give you a +1 to your armor class, then that's fine. Or your shield can go to armor class now, and this can be the thing you use for damage.
I like magical fists. That's thematically cool to me.
Yeah. And then this bad boy, the black dragon mask is something that you found. You did not find the white dragon mask. It was not part of the Hoard. It wasn't in Verum stuff. You'll probably find this out from Tefreya that he was recently promoted to this position, and they were on their way to basically get their new orders once they've delivered this. As soon as they delivered the treasure, then that's when they were going to
Oh wow!
make the promotion.
Kaylee, I think we could probably just throw away this mask, don't you think?
Just throw it in the ocean.
Sorry, what?
I'll cut you, Cobus.
I get you.
So that is a legendary magic item.
Wow.
You look over, Yuri's just on stage holding the mask as he's doing a performance of when they defeated Lime de Drusa.
Nice.
Wait, I already have charisma check advantage on charisma checks that I make against dragons. If I were the one wearing this mask, would I get double advantage?
There's no such thing as double advantage, but I would say that you'd get like probably a further +2, maybe.
Oh, nice.
Expertise or something.
Double your proficiency bonus. I don't know. Something cool.
Very neat. Oof, charisma bonus to armor class. That is amazing.
Dragon breath.
Sorry, I thought I brushed.
I think that would give me an 18 armor class. The only spellcaster to ever have an armor class above 12.
Pretty good. Yuri's was 19 up until he just got a +1 shield. Now it's 20, so 18 is very respectable.
Yep, it's a pretty big deal.
I mean, I guess if you want to keep it.
I don't know if somebody else wants it. Please take it.
Oh, well, since you're off.
But to get these bonuses, you have to wear it. The last time you touched it, you had this vision of Tiamat coming back. That's not to say it's cursed or anything, but that is a thing that happened.
This is absolutely cursed. This is absolutely cursed.
Well, you didn't feel like compelled to put it on or anything like that.
That's fair. That's fair. Did I feel compelled to start a ritual to summon Tiamat by chance?
Nope.
I see.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah. In a similar vein, we watched Jim Carrey's The Mask this past week. I've not seen for many years.
Smoking.
Nice.
What a wild movie.
Yeah, I don't see on the item description the propensity to overact. But it'll certainly be there.
Love it.
It does give you a magical bound weapon, Tommy gun. I don't know what that's about.
And one thing that I wasn't really worried about in the early part of the game is items that require attunement. I think D&D 5e has this limit of things that you're allowed to attune to keep kind of people from breaking their character with
3 dragon masks.
all kinds of stacking bonuses and things like that. So I think you're allowed 3 things that require attunement, and then everything else you can just kind of dogpile on there. Thanks, Thanks, Kent. The Black Dragon Mask is definitely one of them. I think the Staff of Flame was one of them. So some items have that requires attunement. We'll worry about that and get that straight before we start the next session.
Most of the mundane magical items, like if it's just a +1 weapon or +1 armor, usually those don't, because they don't really offer anything but a mechanical bonus.
Yep. But like a Vorpal sword, that would definitely have one, or a Holy Avenger, or something
Actually,
like that.
some items as mundane as like a Cloak of Protection +1 or a Ring of +1, they do require attunement. keeps you from putting on 7 different +1 protection items.
That's fair.
And gaining all the benefits.
Right. So yeah, that's more of the treasure you guys found.
Cool.
We're about at the halfway point for a normal session. Does anybody need to take a break? Because I do.
You can use the restroom, refill some drinks.
Cool.
Be right back.
All right.
But how much longer does the session have?
I'm probably not going to go through 4. So if we're not done by then we'll be wrapping it up. But if I had to guess, I'd say about an hour.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Be right back.
All right, I'm back.
I am back as well.
Cool.
I'm gonna log out and back in on the Roll20 server, see if it updates my picture.
Cool, man.
Indeed. Oh, it did on my screen anyway.
You want me to?
No, that's not necessary. It'll be there for the next session. I changed my icon to a gold dragonborn of Bahamut.
Nice. Yeah. I want to see if my bot works. No, of course not. Why would it work? Oh, it's still starting.
What bot?
I have a chat bot for stream chat.
For some reason, in the stream, I keep rejoining the chat room once every minute. I just have this list of welcome to the chat room over and over.
Let's try one more time. Is the chat bot on? Why do you keep doing that? Successfully connected. All right. The stream says it's offline. No, it's not. Oh, there it goes. Nice.
And we are back.
Same.
Cool.
Also,
All right. So, real quick, taking some notes. We are driving the castle to Waterdeep. And we can say that you guys can hook up with Stark along the way.
I will turn this thing around.
So what did you want to do with the hunting lodge? That has a couple of teleportation circles. It's like a hub. And pretty much the cult has abandoned it.
Do we know where the other circles go?
Yeah, you'd be able to find out with some research and spending a little time doing that, and you can have people do that for you, so you're not bogged down with that kind of boring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One of the spots is up here near the spine of the world, and another spot is way down further south of Amn that is near Linathan's, near his lair. That's how they had made a deal with him.
I mean, it never seems like a bad idea to hang on to a hub of teleportation circles.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so it one of them, and then the last one goes over to Castle Neriatar. So I could see the Swamp Scale tribe moving in and taking care of that for you guys.
That'd be cool. Give them another little hub.
And then just in case Vorag Hamanthar comes back,
Mm.
at least some of your people would survive.
I like that idea.
All right.
Sounds good.
Hunting Lodge.
The winter home.
Winter home. Very nice. Let's see here. Let's look at the halftime requests. Kyla, Kyla, you said you want to visit Lenathan. You wanted to discipline Shadow and give him the talk. We could do that now if you wanted to.
Ooh.
Blasted Shadow.
That was one thing I forgot to mention in the recap. Shadow, the black pseudo-dragon, threatened Kyla and was trying to blackmail her for gold, or he'd go and tell Rezmir about the party and them infiltrating the castle. And Kyla just whack! Smacked him and basically teleported him back into his familiar home, which is kind of like a little genie in the lamp situation.
Whacked him good, too. I rolled like a 16 or something.
So angry about it.
I was.
Indignant, yeah. How dare you?
That's how Shadow rolls. So I'm sorry as a DM of having to do that, but
Oh, that was directed at Shadow, not you, of course.
but yeah, if you wanted to do that now, we can save that till next time.
Oh, I'm good with whatever. I think we could probably save it until next time, I think.
Okay. Dealing with Tafreya Nightgem, the evil sister who joined the cult. You said you wanted to probably send her back to the prison. Probably want to interrogate her. I would like to wait on that one just so I can get my notes clear with what she knows and what she doesn't know. Mm-hmm. Acquiring a fancy display case with 10 slots, one for each of the 10 dragon scales so far. That should be, no problem there. You can turn that back in. I heard something about faction promotions. That's something we'll handle. Easily going to rank 4. And Cobus, you've been doing a lot of stuff with the Emerald Enclave. I was thinking about bumping you up to rank 5.
Ooh.
There's a rank 5?
I'm going to have to start wearing a suit and tie, y'all.
Not for a druid rank 5. Start having to pack mud in your hair and...
Oh man, you can pull a Return of the King and summon giant eagles.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. I'm doing that immediately.
As a giant toad.
Oh, it doesn't even say there is a rank 5. That must be extra.
I don't want to confuse the giant eagles and try and eat me as a giant toad.
That'd be dangerous.
I'm sure it would be fine, you know?
Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Toads are snack-sized, one might say.
Oh, nice. I get the improved teleportation tree walking thing.
Yeah. So I just showed the... I didn't bother putting the Order of the Gauntlet up here, so I'll have to put that together. Order of the Gauntlet. Karen said she wanted to get hitched.
She's getting married, for real.
Oh.
So who all is invited to that?
Oh man, she's got to iron out the guest list, you know.
Yep.
Definitely her best friend Nikolai. Haynes gets a negative invitation. It's not like a shoot on sight order or anything, but
he needs to know that he is not invited.
yeah. But he needs to know how happy she is and how well everything's going for her. Hero of the realm.
She gives him a map showing exactly where it'll be. It's just don't you dare come here.
Don't you dare.
Just, hoping that he does so
Yeah.
that he can be thrown out.
So, do you want him to show up?
That's up to you.
Okay, all right.
Wedding Crasher.
When is
He
it
will not be
happening?
on the list.
Is it going to happen in like a month? Or
Well, I guess that depends how long it takes to get all the things together. You know, she wants a really nice dress. She wants to be on the beach, really pretty.
To recover from her injury.
Yeah, to recover from her injury. I don't think she'll have a new leg in place by the time wedding comes around, but luckily she can fly for 10-minute periods, so it's not an issue as long as the ceremony's nice and snappy.
so, do you want this to happen before the Rise of Tiamat, or before the module? Like, is this going to happen between the module, or is this going to be like a little break that happens to give us a fun break in the bleak module of Rise of Tiamat?
I don't know. I was figuring that if Doug wanted to bring in Nikolai's niece, she would like be Nikolai's +1 to the wedding, and maybe that's how she got introduced.
Right.
It's possible. I would say don't. I can always come up with a reason to introduce a character, so don't worry about scheduling it around that particular thing.
Cool. I don't know. Really, any time is fine. She's
Okay.
gonna be tapped out, so due to injuries.
Well, out of character, do you want this to happen in a couple of weeks? Like, do you want us to resolve this in 2 weeks, real time?
Why not? We earned a little bit of a party, I think.
Is it happening now? Where are you having this ceremony?
The summer home.
Summer home.
Who's gonna officiate though?
I thought you said you wanted Lightbringer, the Golden Dragon, to
Forgot I said that.
officiate.
Nice.
That's so good. I forgot. Thanks, Past Alley.
Thanks, Past Alley. You were brilliant. No, I'm good. Thanks, baby.
Hi, Laura.
May I decorate with the flowers, like jewelry craft, the flowers and the.
Oh yeah.
Karen was gonna ask,
Yes.
but she didn't want to impose.
What colors are you feeling?
She's an orange lady. She
Ooh.
likes a lot of orange.
I'm gonna look up orange flowers.
Goes with her like burnt blonde hair.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited.
Beautiful.
Sorry, for whatever reason, I was thinking red hair when I made the sign, so we'll change that for your one-eyed halfling tavern that was named after you.
I mean, here's the thing. Maybe this lady didn't have good eyesight.
Yeah, she is old.
Right.
Karen kicks on the door, be like, "Hey,
You named this after some other lady?
And there's always an open invitation for the Defiant Dawn to come down there, and all you can eat, all you can drink.
That's nice.
Always a room available.
What, we pull up with our giant castle outside? No, we're good. We'll eat, but...
All right. I think that's all I have for that. If you have any special wedding vow, I'm not putting any pressure on you. If you have anything special that you want me to say or do or whatever, you let me know. Otherwise,
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to put a lot of thought into this.
All right. You got 2 weeks.
Oh, man. 2 weeks to plan a wedding? No problem.
Planning a pretend wedding. That's easy.
Yeah, that's easy peasy.
We got magic. We can make these things happen.
nice."
Let's see. Was there anything else in the downtime you wanted to take care of, Karen?
I don't think anything specifically. Kara's just ready to, move on to the next stage of her life.
All right.
Maybe helping manage the shipping company, since she'll be at an oceanside venue for most of the foreseeable future.
And she will definitely have mastered reading by that point.
And if she hasn't, Gulliver's there too.
True.
And we know he can write.
Yep.
That's true.
So, Stark, you said War Domain Cleric. Was there
Yes,
anything
sir.
you were wanting to make sure happens next session?
I'll just have to button up my character sheet. Of the three you let me play around with, none of them is perfect. So
That's fair.
I'll have to make a fourth one that will be fourth and final. And but that's something we can do in your spare time. Kind of button up that character sheet.
Cool. Yeah, I have. Let's see. I have this list. Let's see here.
Also, I'm not quite sure how we want to do it, but the black dragon mask should probably be in my possession.
Just kind of makes sense when you think about it.
Right. Thematically, it feels good.
It's
right.
cool. It's like inverse because you're a clear of Bahamut and you're gold, and this one's black and with Tiamat. So like you're the logical keeper of this relic.
Hold on, Hold on, I'm gonna post a GIF in the Dungeons and Dragons chat. I'll put Bahamut is just looking at that like.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, those are so pretty.
They are.
Flower crown around her real crown.
It is done.
Thank you. I brought my own.
I brought mine, but this is nice, though. Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. There are some magic items for the new characters to pick. So, Allie, you can choose one from a Sword of Wounding, a Sunblade, or a Shield of Missile Attraction, and then you can choose one of the +1 weapon, armor, or shield, or you could just choose two of the weapon, armor, or shield. Like, if you don't want any of that fancy stuff, you can just go two for that. I recommend picking the cool thing.
Could I maybe flavor the Sunblade into being like a really big sun axe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the skin of an item doesn't matter.
Nice.
Yeah, the theme and what it looks like, totally up to you. And then Stark, you can choose between a Staff of Healing, a Sword of Life Stealing, or a Sentinel Shield, and then a +1 item.
Yeah, I was leaning towards the Sentinel Shield. I think that's fantastic. And then I would reskin it to be equivalent to having the Bahamut holy symbol on it.
Nice.
And then, if allowed, I would like to have +1 plate mail.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh,
Nice.
longsword though. No, you know what? He's got magical means of creating magical weapons, so I don't know that I need a magical longsword. So yeah, I would go with the armor.
Go for it.
Solid.
And then, too many to read, so I'll just post it in chat. And then choose one from the following list. Both of you do. I don't know why it says... Oh, Taisho Mori was what I typed before. So yeah, choose. Each of you can choose one of the items from the following list.
I was looking at those. Wind Fan is pretty cool. You can use it to cast the Gust of Wind spell once a day. And Gust of Wind is a 2nd level spell. It makes like a 60-foot long column of wind blast out in one direction. And it makes it so that anybody trying to move towards you has to spend double their movement, and they have to like make a strength save to not get blasted back. And then you can use a bonus action to redirect the wind every turn. It lasts for like a minute.
The immovable rods are really cool as well.
That's true. Very creative.
Oh no.
They're back.
Where get posted?
I posted it in D&D, or sorry, in Roll20 chat.
Oh, I see.
It's also in the EC 314 Hoard of the Dragon Queen chat. In the EC gaming one.
I don't know that I invited Stark to that yet. I'll make sure he's, we'll get those details worked out and get him invited over there. Let's see here. Yeah, so just something to think about. And Doug, I'll come up with some... If you want to just come up with like one kind of cool item like I've detailed here, feel free. And then you can choose that plus a magic weapon, armor, shield, and then plus one of the items from that list as well.
Cool. I had been looking through some stuff. I didn't see anything that leapt out at me, but if I do end up going with the arcane trickster, like I said, she'll probably be melee. So if it was just like a +1 weapon, that's fine. I didn't know if there were any cool thematic weapons like the Sword of Life Stealing or Sunblade that would be appropriate for a rogue.
Cool. I'll take a look.
No pressure.
Let's see. What else do we have? So we had the wedding ceremony. We've got magic items picked out. We've decided what we're doing with the castle. Given a majority of that back, but then keeping some to do a couple of things like repair castles, possibly repair the magic item at the top of Castle Neritar, the weird arcane tinkered mechanism that lets you cast Arcane Eye once a day.
Could we, from our vast treasury, either procure or purchase a couple of sets of sending stones?
Absolutely,
so that the retired characters we can have enough intermingled that we just have a bag of rocks in our haversack. That'll be like, okay, this one's Yuri, this one's Kyla.
So basically we have stone cell phones.
There you go. Very limited use.
They're called Rocky Talkies.
Ha!
Man, those data rates, 25 words a day.
And Kobus can be able to ferry people back and forth with his teleportation power from the Emerald Enclave.
You betcha.
Yeah, so one thing that Stark said is he might not be able to play every time we do. He's a fireman, so he has kind of a weird schedule. But we told him we'll play without him when he's not here, and we'll NPC some. What do you call it? We can throw an NPC. Ugg can show up and disappear as needed, or Yuri, or whoever.
Yeah, I'll certainly be doing my level best to make sure that I'm here.
Cool, man.
Well, no one will ever be upset if you have to miss, aside from the fact that we'll miss your company.
Because you're going to save people's lives.
Let's see. So I did kind of
Like,
go ahead.
how dare they be in danger on D&D Day?
Right.
Save the dying for another day.
Yeah, it'd be nice if people just didn't do that, but people gonna people. All right, so Doug had some ideas. Start some sort of mercenary company subgroup, act as security, go and do jobs, bring in good stuff for the group, spends time traveling through major cities. Oh yeah, we already talked about this.
Yeah, I think that's all been covered at this point. And I just like it to tie into the shipping business as well that Kobus was taking a crack at too.
Yeah. So you wanted to check in on the dragon daggers?
Yeah, and I think, we got an overview of that. That doesn't have to be a specific scene. He just wanted to make sure that they did what they were sent to do, and then find out where they were at compared to the Defiant Dawn. So, flying in their floating city in the sky.
Yeah, they are operating out of Burdusk, which is way back down south. And they're still doing adventuring stuff, but they definitely did what they said they were going to do and buried Fulam for you.
Are they the puppets of Haynes?
They do have a good working relationship with Haynes, yeah.
How dare
They're
they?
all evil.
I'm guessing they're not invited to the wedding. Are they
Nope.
like specifically uninvited to the wedding? Because they'd show up.
She doesn't want to brawl at her wedding necessarily. Because she doesn't want to have to kill some fools,
That's fair.
On my wedding day?
Oh god, she drooled on me.
You said the dragon daggers would definitely come?
If they were specifically uninvited, they would show up for sure.
Oh, that's so nice. They want to make sure to congratulate her. Oh, that is so kind of them.
That is pretty sweet. I mean, last time Kara knew they were in jail, so I don't think she would even think about inviting these people.
Yeah. All right.
I know you're the Dragon Daggers, but I'm sure you've heard of us. We're the Defiant Dawn. We're looking for satellite groups who can go places we can't be because we have more important things. So if you want to rebrand as the Dawn Daggers, maybe there'd be a place for you in our organization.
Yeah, Stark, taking the goggles of night is totally what I was talking about. So you got like 2 useful kind of mechanical combat items and then 1 kind of utility item just for coolness and fun.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Can I have a hat of vermin? I forgot to ask earlier.
A hat of vermin? Instead of one of these things? Probably, yeah. I don't think that's crazy overpowered, is it?
Let me look it up.
I just want to be able to summon frogs and bats and rats and crap. I just think it's fun.
And why does Aster like that so much?
I think she just she got it off of somebody she beat up on the road, and it's a novelty for her at this point.
Hat of vermin. I'm trying to find
I
it.
was really considering looking for a staff of Python.
Oh, it's not even. It's a common magic item. I was looking under uncommon and rare, and I'm like, I don't know where this thing is.
I can get 3 vermin once a day of any type.
A bat, a frog, or a rat.
And it appears in the hat.
And tries to get away from you as quickly as possible. Yes, you can have that in addition to anything else.
That's great.
Thank you, Egg.
That's a fun little thing.
I like that they specifically try to get away from you as quickly as possible.
Oh, God.
The bat just flies away immediately.
Bat.
Bat.
Human form.
Tiefling form.
Oh yeah, we did a Curse of Strahd one-shot for something where Strahd was in it, and he did indeed say bat.
Nice. Love it.
Love it. All right.
Now I have to make a new character who's basically just Laszlo.
I mean, that'd be pretty fun.
I say, Tiamat, why don't you stay down there in your fiery hell?
Cool. So I think I have a good list of things that we're going to be doing. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a lot. Probably half a session or a full session, and then we'll start the module proper. And Water's Deep, probably after Miss Karen gets hitched.
Yes. It's gonna be so tasteful. Can we get Barb's Swiftblade to
Yes.
sing?
Yes, absolutely.
The acclaimed bombs.
Oh, fun.
I don't know why you guys don't like him.
Yuri can play as Dudic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barb's like, no.
Oh my gosh, Dark, I love your icon.
Yeah, thanks. It worked out perfect with the longsword and everything.
Ooh, I'll reload. Let's see, how do I do that? Reconnect. That didn't do it. Oh well. Can I just shift reload? Oh, nice. Very nice. Yeah, we'll make a cool token for this guy.
Where did you post it?
Hit if you shift reload the Roll20 app, then you'll see basically his icon.
Reloading. Neat.
I see that Kevin's icon is a hat of disguise.
That's not what the hat normally looks like.
It's a hat of bush.
Right? Yeah, it's actually a cowboy hat, but
Fusion.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be great. Your magic hat is just a cowboy hat.
Well, is there any post-mortem stuff you want to talk about? Just the module as a whole?
I got one last thing, Ick.
Okay.
I decided to do a giant constrictor snake.
Nice.
Cool.
I was going to do the crocodile, but that's a little too powerful.
No, it's not. You can do both. You don't have to you can choose both of these. So giant crocodile.
Well, that's a challenge rating of 5, though.
Oh, well, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Not yet. If it's
I
a
got
5
you, I
by
got
3,
you.
we just by the time we fight Tiamat, you can do that.
Yeah, there you go. Then I'm eating me a dragon.
Well, if we are level 16, for some reason, by the time we fight Tiamat, you can actually turn into a T-Rex. So,
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Mm-hmm.
So, can your giant constrictor snake also swallow things, or is it mostly constricting?
It does not swallow, it just constricts.
oh, guess I don't need to stop a python then.
Well, you're kind of like swallowing something by wrapping around it, if you think of it that way.
That's true. That's true.
Let's see. I think didn't you pick up a staff of pythons, or no? You got a tattoo. That
Oh, yeah.
can
Yeah, I love
do,
More
the,
than
do
grass.
the snakes.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I enjoy that.
So all in all, I thought Rise of Tiamat suffered from balancing issues up front. It was supposed to be Langdodrosa in the Dragon Hatchery, which I thought was crazy. He one-shot our group.
That's wild. He gave us for a run for our money, and we were a level higher and maybe 2 levels higher.
Yeah, I think you guys were at least level 4. Yeah, you were level 4.
Yeah.
What about the
Go ahead.
What about the time you cast Charm Person on Cyanrath?
Okay, so yeah, I was playing a divination wizard, and we were second level in Green S, so I went out. He was out there, and he was challenging us to send out the champion to duel, and like the paladin and the cleric were fighting each other to get out there. It's like, I'll go sacrifice myself. No, I'll do it. And then I just I jumped off the wall and cast Featherfall, and I went out there as my little wizard. And what happened? And he looked at me and was like, "Is this a joke?" Because like I had an 8 strength and had nothing going on. I was like, "Hey, if you don't want to fight, then that's fine. I'll just take these prisoners. We could part our ways and we can go." It's like, all right. So he draws his sword, and I cast Charm Person on him. He fails to save because of my divination power of Portent. So now we're buddies. And then we get up close to each other, and I just whisper to him, "I was like, I know we're friends and all, but I don't want to fight you to the death. I don't want you to fight me to the death. But I have a plan. Just make it sound good." And then I cast Obscuring Mist. So now we're like banging swords against staves, and he shoots lightning and hits the castle wall.
It's amazing.
And then I lay down at the end, and then the spell dissipates, and he's standing over my dead body.
Nice.
And he goes away and gives the thing and gives us the prisoners and tells them to come retrieve your fallen comrade. And so everybody got to save face. And then an hour later, when the spell wears off, a Charmed Person, that's when I became Cyanrath's nemesis.
Nice.
And it's better because apparently the guards on the wall, or the guards on the outskirts of town, spotted a blue half-dragon just glaring at the town.
Because he couldn't say anything about it. He just had to keep that. And then he killed a kobold. And like there was this scene of like we were psychically connected for a moment just from his sheer hatred. And like he was just boring the eyes into the castle.
Like, looking at your pocket watch, counting down to the last second, and then far away in the distance, we just hear a "Rah!" and a small flock of birds flies out of the trees.
And then later on, like when he one-shot us, basically, he like made a beeline for me, rolled his 4d10 breath weapon. He got 10, 10, 9, 9 on the damage roll. I still had full hit points, made my save, so I barely survived it. The paladin just incinerated. Somebody else got killed two, and then the other people just beat down the rest of them. So
Oh,
I was
no.
able to get away, but the campaign kind of died there.
Oh no!
That was a good one.
Who was running that one?
My friend John Christian, he does some. He runs some games for, I forget who the heck it is. I need to get a link from him so I can promote him. But he runs some online games and things like that people sign up for, and I think some of the money that he charges goes to charity and stuff like that. So he was one of my favorite dungeon masters.
Very cool. Well,
If,
you're mine, so.
Speaking of dungeon masters, if this group stays together after Rise of Tiamat, who's going to run the next campaign?
Mm-hmm. I need to take a break from running after Rise of Tiamat for sure.
Well, have I got a deal for you?
Yeah, if you're wanting to run something, I'd be happy to play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Depends on what my schedule's like then, but yeah.
I would love to play in anything that you run as long as the scheduling works out for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, if it's in the same time slot, I think would be fine for us.
Yep. Let's see. Other parts about the module that I didn't care for. One thing I didn't like was the trip up the Sword Coast. Just all the look but don't touch moments of all the cool stuff that was kind of happening around you. I think it was just meant to kind of advertise the Sword Coast as a cool place to be. But the time pressure just kind of kept you on task and moving towards. So you didn't get to go into like the Yawning Portal and go have fun in a dungeon. You didn't get to go see Dragon Spear Castle with the big huge skeletal dragon on the top.
Yeah, that was probably the only part of the module that I actively didn't understand what the point was.
Yeah.
Because we were just locked into a fixed trajectory for a fixed period of time.
It was like watching a movie.
Yeah. A little bit railroading.
I don't mind railroading. It didn't feel like there was anything to do along the way.
Mm-hmm.
There were events and things we could saw in a couple of minor combats, and then there was a litany of NPCs that were a little fleshed out but didn't have any motivation aside from go north along the coast. So
Yep.
there wasn't. Yeah, so that was probably the weakest part of the module, but it was like a session and a half, so it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, I did like all the NPCs. I liked a lot of the characters. The art of the module is great. The maps of the module were pretty good. I really like those. And I mean, ending the game with a flying castle and a white dragon fight with a giant helping out. I think that was pretty epic. So couldn't have asked for a better ending.
Yeah, we had a lot of cool cinematic moments throughout the module. A lot of cool ideas from the players, and a very permissive GM who let us get away with some cool stuff.
Something that I thought was very cool was after being very scared of dragons, the whole campaign, Karen had to somewhat face down one literally alone.
Poor Karen.
Very tiny, very
Terrifying.
scared, but she did fireball the crap out of it once.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, that's good.
What were you saying,
Said
Stark?
Tiamat, my regards. Bleh.
Did you say
I
something,
didn't
Stark?
Nope. Just commented that that final battle was amazing.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, the overall is a good module. It's one of the first ones that came out, and I think that kind of the game was still in flux at that time, and that's why some of the balance issues are there. I don't know if further modules have that same concern, but the early days are always a little bit scary anyways, just because people don't have a lot of hit points, and goblins now do a serious chunk of damage.
Was Rise written fairly closely behind the heels of Hoard, or are they...
Yeah, it was. This was like their, what the heck do you call it? Their premiere module that they wanted to get out.
Hopefully they'll have make it a little more concise for you.
Yeah. But overall, great fun. I loved what you guys did with the characters, how you guys solved a lot of problems, and how you've really put a dent in the cult's activities. I think you guys did a great job. But
Well done, team.
We've done it.
Woohoo!
Kinda.
Sort of, for now.
Yep,
We did a bit.
did a bit. But if I think that's everything that I had for today. So I guess we'll wrap up here unless there's anything else.
Just one more big thank you for running for us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
fun and
Definitely.
great
And
group.
thank you
and
very much for the invite.
Yeah, Stark, looking forward to seeing you get to play with us instead of just listening to me talk about every cool thing that's happened so far. Time for your character to put some coolness in there.
Awesome.
All right. Well, chat, thanks for watching, everybody. Doug and Allie run a little podcast RPG for you and me, and do have a pretty cool community. I usually post a link to that in the YouTube video later. And we'll be doing this again in a couple of weeks, taking care of a little bit more maintenance, and then starting the module proper next time. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.